Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. It's great to be here with you on a Thursday that definitely is a Friday. I've been a day behind all week. And I woke up this morning. I really thought it was Friday. I was looking forward to a nice, relaxing Friday show. And then I realized that it's not Friday. It's, in fact, Thursday. And then we have 8 more hours to go. And very proud of the 6 hours we've put in this week. It's been lean, but I was very, very happy with the quality of the show.
What about the other...
Only 6 of the hours?
6 hours.
Sorry, 12 hours.
I mean,
see, I'm losing it.
If that's how you feel, half our shows this week have been good, and the other half have been crap.
Maybe that was my subconscious saying, no, I wouldn't be patting myself on the back after those 3 shows.
Easy, buddy.
Easy, pal.
You may have done 12 hours, but
6 of them were
only
good.
6 of them.
I'll take 500. In this time of year, I'll take a 500 batting average all day long. Well, anyway, it is Thursday. Shockingly, it's Thursday. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer of the program. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
You know, it's an interesting job when it comes to evaluating your performance.
Yeah.
Because it is so subjective. We will finish shows some days where you felt like we had a great show, and I may think, it's just kind of meh. And then other days I'll feel like the show was really sharp and crisp, and you're not feeling it. I'd imagine the audience is similar. Tier ones will go, love that show today, and we're both like,
what?
Why? That was
Are
terrible.
you on
show.
bath salts?
And then we'll feel like we just finished the greatest show in the history, and
there'll be no response or
you'll have
something.
a tier one out there is like, it's just didn't do it for me. It is so difficult to really accurately assess.
It is.
The quality of a show, an hour, a segment, anything you do.
Yeah, man. It's tough. It's
in this
tough.
business.
And if you overthink it, you're dead. You know, if you overthink it, you are absolutely dead. I got tickets yesterday for 9 Inch Nails. They added a second show in L.A. And, of course, they're skipping San Diego entirely because why not? Why? Who would want to come here and play in this dump of a city? Right? Who would want to come down here to San Diego, California? You know, maybe the most perfect city in America. I'm going to throw a concert. I'll tell you who. Every band is like, I'm good. They just screech to a halt in L.A. And they just are like, ooh, yeah. We really want to drive through? No, we're not going to hit that traffic. Okay?
Is that the problem? Because they feel like they can't fly from L.A. to San Diego, and they don't want to
ride a bus or something for an hour and a half after a concert? I guess. If somebody out in the concert world has an answer for me, I'd love to hear it. Because I've had to go, and I've had to buy tickets for, I'm going to like 7 shows. They're all in L.A. this year.
Where are they playing in L.A.?
The Forum. Kia Forum. Which we got a venue here that can match the Forum.
Is ancient.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's not a venue. If they said, SoFi Stadium.
Right. Or a Ballmer's new spot.
Yeah, the Intuit Dome. I go, okay, well, maybe they're just looking for the top flight venues, and we don't have a giant arena that seats 20,000.
Right.
If it's the Forum, that's not really an excuse not to come to San Diego.
It's insane. You should start here and work your way up California, not work your way down California. You work your way up and around Seattle, Portland, and there you go. Maybe that's how you wrap up your tour.
Have either of you been to a show at the Forum?
No.
I have no idea what the acoustics sound like.
Well,
I would imagine they're probably pretty good.
I think they've upgraded it for concerts specifically.
Yeah.
It's less of a sporting venue now and more of a
concert
hall type venue. So
I saw. I got I got the ticket. Like they released the tickets. I went online. I bought about 1 ticket. I'm going solo, and it's on a Friday. And I was very excited. Now, I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 in July. So I'll be 50 years old by the time I see them for the first time. I never saw them in the 90s, in their heyday. Never. And I'm very excited. I'm a huge Trent Reznor fan. Huge. So I got in the Reznor rabbit hole. And I was listening to his podcast he did with Rick Rubin. I highly recommend it. If you're a creative person in any way, you listen to that podcast. And so I was listening to him, and he was talking about, like, you were just talking about how you judge yourself and how you judge what you do, your creative stuff. And, he's pretty tough on himself. He's pretty tough on himself and didn't want to turn in a record. And it's really a good read. But I didn't mean to get off on a tangent on Nine Inch Nails. I'm very excited to go see him. I'm bummed that they're not coming here. You know, you go to LA, you got to get a hotel, you got to drive up there. It's a whole process for just to go to a concert. But yeah, I'm excited. I've never seen a show at the Forum either. I've never seen Trent Reznor. I'm excited to go solo, just to go and kind of experience it. But I was watching some videos online, and I saw a song they did. They were at the Forum, and it looks awesome.
Couple of good reviews of the Forum in our chat right now, so maybe you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Well, they said in the chat too, why doesn't anyone huge want to come down here and play the Rady Shell? And I still haven't found a show there that makes me go, yes, okay, like we're going to the Shell to see blank.
Is it just not large enough? I mean, you can't get enough people into the Rady Shell to make it worth it for a band like of that size to come in.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Too intimate.
It's too intimate.
It's 10,000.
Yeah, you need more. Nine Inch Nails is going to be more than 10.
Yeah,
you know, that's a real sweet spot.
You get 10,000 at the Shell.
That's what it says.
Wow. I was going to say like 5. I'm impressed.
Zach says people from San Diego will just go to L.A., so no need for him. Yeah, I mean, you got me, hook, line, and sinker. I don't mind going up for shows. I actually kind of look forward to it. It's exciting. But I don't know, man. It's I'm just super thrilled to get a ticket and be able to go see one of my top 3, heroes I've never gotten to see. It never materialized back in the day. I missed out on a lot of those bands. So I'm definitely playing catch up this year. But yeah, I'm super stoked about that. But as we evaluate these couple of weeks, between the first part of the year, it has been a bit of a slog. There's no question, man, with all the stuff that's going on with the Padres in the front office. Yeah, man, that's juicy and salacious. But I think what people really want, they want moves on the field, and that just hasn't really materialized yet. So
could that all change after today?
See, I don't think so. I don't think Pete Alonso certainly opens up sort of.
Paulie is actually referring to something else that we can get into.
Potentially, yeah. We will get into that today.
It has nothing to do with Pete Alonso.
Nothing to do with Pete Alonso. He is back with the Mets, by the way. But so yeah, that's kind of where our heads are at. We really appreciate you guys. We were saying right before we signed on, I go, what are all these people doing in the chat? It's incredible. So you guys continue to blow our minds. We're going to continue to try to bring it and have some fun.
I think the upshot, though, from our earlier conversation is that when you do a job like this, or if you're a musician, you're often just working for yourself.
Yeah.
Like we judge a show. Did we enjoy ourselves?
How did we feel?
Did we laugh? Did we feel good about it? And that's very self-indulgent because most people's professions aren't about making yourself feel good while you're working. You're usually, you're producing something, you're closing a deal, whatever. There's like a tangible, all right, yeah, I brought in this much business, we signed this many contracts, and that's how you're judged. But for us, it's not that simple. And we don't know how you're reacting. I mean, we'll see a tweet or a comment every once in a while, but that's one person's opinion. So ultimately, we just have to decide, did we feel good about today's show or not? Just as I imagine Trent Reznor has to decide, did I feel good about today's concert? I mean, you can get, the crowd reacted fairly well. You can kind of judge it that way. We don't even get that, really. We don't see our audience. We get occasional comments, and that's about it. And then
it's not like television where we get ratings the next morning.
No. And we'll get ratings a month or two later and find out, was it good or bad? And
we were good or we sucked.
And those don't even necessarily totally accurately reflect the quality of any given show.
Yeah.
Because no one knows when they tune in, is it going to be a good show or a bad show? Maybe over the long term, like if your ratings go up, you can feel like, I guess we're doing something well, but it's really hard to evaluate performance in this industry.
No question about it. So it's usually about the vibes. Before we go to break, wanted to wish a very happy birthday. I believe he's up this morning. Usually is an early riser, and they're watching the Ben and Woods program at home. To my oldest son, Bo, who turns 7 years old today, and was born right before this show started, was a colicky little turd when we took the airwaves for the first time. He's grown up on this show. This show has grown up with him and helped him grow up. And I'm just so proud of him, and I love him so much. And happy birthday, buddy. I can't believe he's 7 today. And he's been incredible. Made me a dad for the first time. It's all I ever wanted to be. So happy birthday, buddy. I love you.
Happy birthday, Bo. You as a parent.
Suck it, Ben.
Yeah,
Hi,
suck
thanks,
it,
Bo.
Ben.
You as a parent, and I say this from experience, are entering the best 3 to 4 years of parentdom.
Really?
Yeah. The 7 to 11 range, I think, tends to be the sweet spot in terms of old enough that you don't have to worry about them every second with constant care.
Yeah.
But young enough that they still
want to cuddle.
Sweet, innocent.
They love mom and dad.
There's nothing innocent about Bo. Nothing
true.
at all.
Bo's a little
He's
less
an
innocent than
old
most.
soul. He's been here before.
Before puberty starts to set in, and that
up,
comes
Mom.
with its own challenges. But beyond the
Hey, Dad, did you take my razor? I need to shave my 3 hairs.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. I was putting him to bed last night. I told him, we were laying in bed. I go, 7 years ago tonight was the last peaceful night your old man had. And he started laughing. He goes, it's been peaceful. I was like, when? When has it been peaceful? And, but we break balls a lot in our house, certainly. But yeah, man, I couldn't have drawn up a better son in a lab. So I'm just so proud of him, and he's doing great, man. He's doing really good, and on his way to school today, where he'll be celebrated. It's nothing like the birthday at school day.
Do they still do it the way that we used to do it?
They do it huge, man. They really do.
Does he have to bring treats?
Cupcakes?
I don't think they have to bring. They may. They do it preschool. I don't think he's got to bring in a bunch of cupcakes and stuff. I'm not sure. I mean, you'd have to ask Mrs. Woods because
we probably did that every year of elementary school.
Yeah.
At least K through 6 was if it was somebody's birthday, they were bringing in
it's sick.
little cakes or cupcakes or
He gets
cookies,
to eat lunch with the teacher tomorrow, and he gets to pick 3 friends to do it, which has already caused a lot of strife. He has lists that he's working on to try to weed it down to 3. Hannah says no treats allowed, so they don't do that anymore. There's these days. Oh, he can't. It's got a cashew in it, and he's got a nut out. Some kid who dropped
Gluten.
dead. There's gluten in there. Whatever.
Plus, it's just not healthy to bring.
It's not healthy.
Cookies and cakes twice a week because there's so many kids. And
Yeah,
there's so many birthdays.
Yeah, there's so many birthdays. But happy birthday, baby boy. I love you. I'm very proud of you.
All right, we will. The Padres haven't made moves, but there's moves going on in baseball,
right now,
and
actually.
basketball, everywhere, and we will get into some of that and set the menu for the program. Kelly's got traffic coming up, but first,
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. GEGE 000-466.
I like when we start the day getting to tell you about 7 Mile Casino because it's a good reminder that even at 6:14 a.m. on a Thursday, 7 Mile's open. Not everybody has the same 9 to 5 schedule. Some people are just getting off work right now. They like places to go and unwind for a couple of hours, play some cards, have something to eat with the 24/7 players menu. If you're a night owl or an early riser or have a weird schedule, 7 Mile is one of the few 24/7 options in San Diego for entertainment, for food, and just to have a good time at any time.
Yeah, there's a lot to love about 7 Mile Casino. We've been telling you about it for years. Longtime partner of the program. Do us a favor and yourself. You're going to have a great time. Go sit down, play some California-style blackjack, some Pai Gow, some Baccarat. And if you've got the time, some Texas Hold'em. Certainly, it's a smoke-free environment. And the best part, the proximity to downtown. It's just 7 minutes away, hence the name 7 Mile Casino.
Yeah. The other card rooms at the some of the other places, you're driving 45, 50 minutes. You have to find parking. You have to stay and then turn around. You're wasting all your time in transit when you could be having a good time at 7 Mile Casino. It's just 7 minutes from downtown. There has been a lot of activity, including some breaking news right now. This is going to disappoint everybody.
I wouldn't say everybody.
No, some people. Tommy Pham has signed a 1-year, $4 million contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The big market Pirates land another.
How much?
$4 million.
Yeah, he's a journey. He's officially a journeyman now. That guy just goes where he can get his deal, man. 1-year deals. That's how he's going right now. Good for him. Good for them. Getting a good player, getting an intense player, a hardworking player.
I would have liked to see that happen actually here.
100%.
1 year, $4 million.
Yeah,
I'd pay that for Tommy Pham, right?
Yeah, in a heartbeat. Apparently, either we don't have it or we don't. AJ doesn't value. It's hard to look at what Tommy Pham did here and be like, yeah, got to bring him back. The worst year of his career was here. He was better everywhere else he played.
It's true.
He said he didn't like hitting here. There was something about hitting here he didn't really enjoy.
I'm proud of myself.
It's the best, though. But we lost a little attitude out in left field with Jerks and Profar. Could have gotten a little attitude in Tommy Pham in left field, and they're going to go in a different direction. What direction that is, no one knows.
I mean, AJ says needs to add a bat or two.
Yeah, Tommy was good in the playoffs, I think, here. But yeah, yep. I mean, regular season was just terrible.
There just aren't there aren't that many options left out there. Harrison Bader also signed yesterday with the Minnesota Twins. I thought he signed for $6 million plus some incentives and an option. And I heard Matt Scraby last night. I flipped it on. I was in the car, and he was kind of going, "What's going on here? Why didn't the Padres just grab Harrison Bader at that price?" Harrison Bader is nothing more than a fourth outfielder, and
no.
I don't even know that that's a great price. So I wasn't disappointed that they didn't get him. But now Tommy Pham goes for $4 million. Price tag keeps coming down, but I don't know how far down it can actually come on some of these outfield options. I mean, we're getting down to pretty much as low as guys will sign for at this point, and the Padres still haven't made a move. So it does make you wonder, like, what is the plan that AJ Preller is trying to enact here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's quiet.
Morning, guys.
Morning. Eric says he was a negative WAR player last year, really missed out on nothing. I don't know if he means Bader or Pham.
Bader was like an 86 OPS plus, which is not good. Pham has also, I think, been a negative WAR player the last couple of seasons. None of these guys are.
Thomas said Ty France did not have a good year last year from as memory serves.
They let him go.
Yeah, they let him go.
I mean, he went from all-star to
see ya.
Thanks for your services. They are no longer required.
Orthodox says the plan is $750 per player, $750K per player. That's the ballpark that they're playing in right now. So, hey man, it could be a Tirso Ornelas scene. With some Mike Brusso thrown in there, some Tyler Wade getting some action in left field. This is where we're at this point.
I really wonder if they're just running off the high of hitting on a Jackson Merrill, moving to center field, and an all-star level year. They're like, hey, it just happened. It'll probably happen again.
Absolutely happen again with Tirso. Tirso's makeup is good, is really good, and hits for power, hit for a good, decent average. I don't know how he is defensively, but that doesn't really bother me right now. If we need a guy that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, if it's Tirso, that's fantastic.
So it's obviously not a great strategy to just assume your guy, untested rookie who's never even played an inning on the big league level, is going to turn into Jackson Merrill. That was like once in a generation, the kind of season that Jackson Merrill had. So, that's not smart baseball.
Isn't that sad, though? Merrill. Isn't that sad that they did it and we still don't give them credit for it? We look at it like they put him in center field, and we still, in the media, and I think fans even go, well, I said it last year. I was like, he bailed you out. He absolutely bailed you guys out.
They're like, nah, this is our plan.
This is what. No, we knew it was. And so, how do you ever really know?
Why do you think we never traded him? We knew he was going to be
and I get a but here.
All-star center fielder.
A but or a however, as I tend to say.
Yeah.
You also don't want to just sign someone that's going to block an opportunity of a player that you think highly of and feel pressure like, hey, we just signed this veteran. probably right away he's going to.
We got to play him.
He's going to look better than Tirso Ornelas,
Yep.
so we're going to start playing him. And then what happens? Tirso never gets the opportunity to even show himself on the big league level. So there is a legitimate strategy going. We would like to see what Tirso Ornelas has, and we would like to start him in left field, which means it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to go and spend $5 or $6 million on a player that we don't really even want to play right now because we legitimately want to give an opportunity to one of our younger prospects coming up, and that's a valid strategy and one that smart teams actually do employ. In building up their organization. Now, you have to be able to pivot. Some guys come up to the big league level and they just can't hit, and then you have to have a backup plan if that is the case. So, if that's the strategy, fine, but there's not much of a backup plan either at this point if Tirso Ornelas struggles. It's Brandon Lockridge at this point, which, he's fast, but what else can he give you?
Oscar Gonzalez, Tyler Wade. I mean, there's bodies. You got bodies. Like you're not gonna not have a left fielder. You have some bodies, but again, who's gonna take it? Who's gonna run with it? Hopefully, it's Tirso. That'd be fantastic. As they made the point in the chat, a lot of these veterans that you're seeing, outside of the guys that signed today, there's going to be some guys available. There just will. There'll be some guys available in the next few weeks. But that seems like that's kind of where we're picking from. We've talked about this ad nauseum. I mean, they're looking on scrap. They're looking for the scrap heap finds right now, and I don't mean to use that term negatively, but it's just you picture it in your mind. Here's the top flight guys. Most of them are gone. I mean, there's still some huge names out there. Bregman's still out there. Arenado's still out there for trade. There's names and guys available, but you're looking at the dollar store right now. That's where you're looking for presence, at the dollar store.
All right, coming up on the program, Paulie hinted at it. MLB owners are expected to vote today in Florida on the control person for the San Diego Padres. What does that mean for the team, the organization, and the future? We'll talk about that coming up. We'll get into yesterday, another wild day at the NBA trade deadline, which is still 5.5 hours away. Jimmy Butler gets traded. The Lakers pick up a center. Brandon Ingram gets traded. We'll talk a little NBA. And then at 7:35, our friend Mick Shaffer from Kansas City is going to join us. We had yesterday we talked Eagles with John Marks. Today, Mick Shaffer will talk Chiefs with us as we get ready for Super Bowl 59. That's the first half of the show. We'll let you know what else is coming up after that, but that's the short lead tease for what's on the agenda for the program today.
Well, if you're a California sports fan, good news for you. Underdog available to play in our state. The best app for your big game party is actually on your phone. It's called Underdog. Underdog, the best place to cash in on all your takes during the big game. Which players are going to go off? Which ones are ice cold? Make your entries in just a few taps. With their pick'em game, you could win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats. Yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and more. Look, you got the option to do a flex. Let's say you make 8 selections, higher or lower. You can flex that if you win 6, you're going to win some money. Or you can go, hey, man, I'm going to try to hit all 8 of these, and that's when it can get a lot of fun for you. Underdog is the only pick'em platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands now. You can either keep riding with your entry or tap the Win Now button to cash out whenever you want. And with Underdog's double flex option, you can even take 2 L's, turn them into a dub every single time. How about that? Underdog, the best place to play pick'em. Download the app. You sign up with the promo code WOODS. Deposit now. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code WOODS when you sign up. You must be 18 and over, present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. looks like our girl Katie Wu was part of breaking the Tommy Pham to the Pittsburgh Pirates story. Congratulations to our beloved Katie Wu.
Katie's covered Tommy for many years.
Yeah, and she and her team that she covers, the St. Louis Cardinals, is an interesting one because we'll talk later. We got some new projections that came out from Fangraphs, I believe, where teams are supposed to finish. I may be insane, but people have the Cardinals rated very, very high, and they're in like the middle. They're trying to like rebuild essentially right now. Too high for where they should be.
Yeah, too smart to fail, right?
I mean,
Cardinals.
No, they've been failing. They haven't been good in a while. So I don't know where this comes from.
Well, and that brings up one other point that I wanted to make, that we're speculating. Well, why are the Padres still sitting on their hands? And the two main theories are: one, they just don't have the money to spend on anyone, or two, they're just waiting out other options that they're looking for, that they would rather sign, like cheap options that they're looking for that aren't Harrison Bader or Tommy Pham.
Well, you missed the third one.
But that's the third option is that, and it seems unlikely, but they have something much bigger in the works, and that's why they're holding off on smaller moves, because they're saving up for something bigger.
But there's also the fourth reason, potentially, is that a control person of the team has not been named yet, officially.
Okay, we can kind of tie both of those stories in, because today certainly has the feel of like a momentous day in Padres franchise history. MLB owners are meeting in Florida, and they're scheduled to vote on the nomination of John Seidler as the new control person for the San Diego Padres. Kevin Acey of the UT is there covering it. He talked to owners, including Dick Monfort of the Colorado Rockies, who have indicated shouldn't be a problem. Seems like it's a foregone conclusion that they will approve John Seidler today as the new control person of the San Diego Padres, which means he will take over for Eric Kutsenda, who's currently the control person of the San Diego Padres. What does that mean?
No idea.
I mean, my read of the situation is that as far as Padres fans are concerned, Kutsenda, John Seidler, is there a difference? What changes from one to the other?
If you're asking me, my answer to you is I have no idea. I've never spoken with either of them ever.
Correct.
So I have no clue.
Same for me.
This does not mean the lawsuit or anything is finished, but per Major League Baseball's rules, somebody needs to be named control. It was Eric Kutsenda after Peter died. His term is expired, right? Like they gave him a little.
They gave an exemption to the Padres to name someone who wasn't technically a major owner of the team to be a control person on an interim basis. He was always an interim control person.
Correct.
They always needed a permanent control person. John Seidler is one of the minority owners of the Padres.
Correct.
He has a house here in San Diego. He reportedly attends dozens of Padres games per season. You and I, we've never met him, which is not...
I don't know what he looks like. I have no idea.
Doesn't mean he doesn't exist and that he's not a Padres fan. It just means he's kept a very low profile and, was never introduced to some of us, which is fine. And, presumably we'll learn more about him if he does get approved. But ultimately, he's a partner with Eric Kutsenda, with Peter Seidler, was partners with Peter in their management company that they had. And I don't see how this changes anything at all. In fact, Kevin reports that there's really not expected to be any fundamental changes. It will be business as usual.
Okay, but
business as we've seen.
I was going to ask, can we expect anything to be different? Because now we're going from the interim control person for the last 18 months.
Here's what it does do, which is why I haven't gone off half-cocked yet about the offseason and really how underwhelming it's been, especially after a 93-win season. You're still hearing Dodgers yesterday on podcasts talking about how great the San Diego Padres were. I haven't gone off half-cocked yet, Ben, because I don't know who's in charge. But once somebody is named in charge, well, yeah, there you go. You're now the person that we look at and say, okay, if it's John, if it's Sheel, if it's anybody, you're now the person that we, the media, the fans look at and say, what are we doing? What are we doing? Are we going to keep rolling? Are we going to not? Are you going to pause? Are you going to reload? What is the word you're going to throw at us to let us know, hey, Padres fans who continue to be excited about selling out Petco Park, what is the actual vision going to be? And again, if it's not good, you still have to tell us. You still have to tell us if it's not good. You have to let us know what we can expect from you, John, if you are the controlling person of the San Diego Padres, or Sheel, if you are the controlling person. You got to let us know what your plan is. And you can't keep just throwing out, no, I mean, we want to compete and we want to win. How do you want to win? How do you want to compete? How do you prove it? Well, you prove it by adding good players to your team and trying to continue the momentum that you built up last year. So in some sense,
you want words, but words.
I want actions.
I want
actions.
Yeah, I mean,
but
actions.
You can't have actions until you have the figurehead. There needs to be the figurehead.
But I don't
that
know.
Takes
I
the
don't know
shrapnel.
that that's. I don't know that that's true. Again, I tend to think that tomorrow will come, and
if they hadn't signed anybody, I'd be more like, okay, now that they have the control person.
Yeah.
And I know they haven't signed much, but they still technically had, like Elias Diaz, somebody had to approve that, so they were able to make moves.
But
they just haven't.
But what I'm trying to say is that Eric Kutsenda and John Seidler certainly know each other very well, and presumably have been in constant communication here for a while.
I'm not gonna bitch at my kid's substitute teacher for a week. You know what I'm saying? Like, Eric Kutsenda to me was always the substitute teacher. And it almost felt with Eric Kutsenda, I didn't want this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to get pounded by the media. I don't want to get screamed at by fans. I don't like the name Kutspenda. I don't like that. I don't want this. So I'm not going to yell at my kid's substitute. But if the teacher comes back and is the teacher and we have a problem, I have no problem going to talk to the teacher. Right? Does that make sense to you? Like,
yeah.
I've never had word one to say about Eric Kutsenda because I never expected him to be here longer than I thought it would be 6-8 months. He's been here, a little over a year. He's the sub. I'm not going to yell at the sub.
So a couple of questions from our chat. Dub J wants to know, is this just a perfunctory vote? How many folks over the years have been denied? Don't know the total number, but they have been denied. Padres were denied once. Jeff Morad, the agent, was denied by owners. Now, that was because they didn't feel like he could afford to run a baseball team, which actually, that's a good thing for owners.
That's actually a really good thing for the owners.
So, assuming that means they approve John Seidler, at least they feel like, financially the Padres are in good hands and on solid footing. Otherwise, they wouldn't approve an owner if they didn't feel like they were on solid footing at this point.
Yeah.
Is John Seidler a Dodgers fan? Thomas asks. I know that is a concern among the Padres fan base.
It would be if I got to interview him, it would be my first question.
Well, and I will say that, like every member of the Seidler family, they all started as Dodgers fans because they were grandchildren of the O'Malley's, Walter O'Malley, the owner of the Dodgers, including Peter Seidler, massive Dodgers fan.
When he was young.
When he was younger, and then became the owner of the Padres, forsook the Dodgers.
Forsook them.
Forsook the Dodgers and became a massive, Padres and Padres only. As I said, John Seidler reportedly goes to many Padres games. Do I know what's in his heart? Of course not. No one does. But
could be the longest con of all time. Could be the greatest bit of all, not the greatest bit, the greatest worst bit of all time.
I can't,
watch me get in there and rip them apart from the scenes.
I can't picture anyone going to the...
Don't worry, guys.
Going to the extent of wanting to own a Major League Baseball team just to undermine it. That really would be counterproductive financially and, image-wise. No, that would not be a good look for anybody if it ever came out that, hey, I just bought this team to
run it in the ground,
to run it into the ground to help the team that I really cheer for. Even though they're not going to pay me anything to do that. I just want to be able to cheer for the Dodgers at the end. I think we'd all, if I all of a sudden was named, owner of the Boston Celtics, even though I'm a Lakers fan, guess what? I'm a huge Boston Celtics fan.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, we've talked about it before. I hate USC. My kid gets into USC to play baseball. Fight on, everybody.
Yeah.
I'll be, woo, let's go. I'll be at the games.
That's why I've tended to dismiss the argument. Well, you can't have a Dodger fan running the team. If they're owning a team, it's pretty easy to jump on board that team.
It would actually suck. I mean, I was actually surprised Peter didn't catch more grief for it over the years. Well, you know why he didn't? Because he opened his checkbook. Any chance he got to open his checkbook and go, no, I'm going to prove to you guys.
And he spoke with passion about slaying the dragon and wanting. He showed with action and words that he was a Padre through and through.
KG said this type of logic would be a lot more comforting if John Fisher didn't exist, who essentially gutted the team in Oakland for his own personal gain.
Oh, owners do that all the time.
They do that all the time.
He wasn't doing it so the Giants
so the
could be better.
Texas Rangers could be better. He's a big Ranger fan. Listen, again, one way or the other today, I think we'll have some clarity. But when there is clarity, the gas on the oven gets turned up a little bit on if it is, in fact, John. The gas has got to go up a little bit, okay? The gas needs to be, the heat needs to be turned up a little bit under his feet. And, okay, bud, what are we going to do moving forward? You have a fan base that is in shambles right now, waiting on something. And you got a really talented GM who's very creative, that knows how to draft well and build well. That being said, what are we going to do? Are we just going to run? Again, I'm so comfortable with them saying, if I had John on and I said, John, what is your plan? You guys are talking about, everybody's talking about Peter's vision still, right? Peter's vision was to win a world championship. Can you honestly sit and say today, after spending $4 million on, and it's not even a new player. Who is a new player that we've brought to the team this year, other than a minor league free agent? None. Can you honestly say that's what Peter's vision would have been? That's a question I would feel very comfortable asking him, because, again, you're in control. You're the one that has, when you're named the control person, you have to answer those questions, right? If I'm the control person of Ben and Woods and Paulie screws up, you can come to me. Come to me and say, why is your producer doing this, right? Those are the types of things that happen. So I think, if this is named today and it does go down the way we pretty much all think is going to go down, that's when the heat's got to get turned up a little bit.
Now, there are some complications, and I will get to those after a quick check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a collision on southbound 5 before 28th Street. Emergency crews got the two right lanes blocked. Also, Coronado Bridge still pretty backed up from before mid-span on over to the island. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So part of the complication here is that, of course, you still have the lawsuit that Sheel Seidler filed, which ultimately, even if John Seidler is approved by owners today, could upend the balance of power depending on what a judge rules at some point. And we have no idea how long that could take. And, following the case so far, still in its very early stages. But according to, Kevin Acey's reporting, doesn't seem to be a concern. Dick Monfort was the only one who went on record, but he said he spoke with other executives who were there, and they said they've looked at the case and they don't see much reason to be concerned. They feel like ultimately John will end up as the control person of the trust, which they require, by the way, to also be the control person of the team. So the trustee, who is currently Matt Seidler, was Bob. Bob stepped down. Matt named John as the control person, but Major League Baseball will require Matt to then step down as the trustee of Peter's estate, and have John then be the trustee, because they need the trustee and the control person to be the same. That's expected to also take at least a month to finalize. So until then, I would say you probably won't hear from John Seidler, because he won't officially be the control person for at least a month or so from now. So
it'd be a nice opening day interview with John Seidler.
It may be a while. At some point, though, he will, I would think, have to at least go on record, do an interview, meet with the media, talk, address fans' concerns, because that's generally what good heads of organizations do.
Yeah, Peter did
they're
it.
your customers.
Peter
your
did
fans are your customers.
Ron did it. Everybody's done it, and I that's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking is, again, Let us know what your plan is. You have to go on record. You just do. You have to go on record when you're asking people to come and buy your merch and sit in your ballpark and go to your concerts and do everything else and support this organization. You have to go on record with what the plan is. Even if the plan isn't, guys, I'm about to empty the chamber and we're going to go out and get everybody. If that's the plan, great. We're all supportive of it. If it's not, if it's to be a little bit more careful, if it's to try to develop within, all you got to do is say it. Under promise on that deal. Under promise, over deliver. That's the best way.
Which is how this whole Peter Seidler's whole ramp up started. They did not ever announce that they were going all in. We were floored by the moves that the Padres made.
Floored.
What are they doing?
Right.
It was kind of an under promise, over deliver situation. Now, they haven't promised anything either. The only public comments about payroll that have ever been made have really been, ultimately, we need this to be sustainable. That, even Peter Seidler said that ultimately, can't do this forever, spending way over the luxury tax.
Yeah.
That was even something Peter Seidler said. Eric Grupner has said it as well, that, the ultimate model is to augment with homegrown talent, have some superstars, and be a team that they think can compete for World Series titles that way. They're never going to be the Dodgers. They're never going to be the Mets. That's the only thing that we've actually heard. And at this point, there's no reason to think that has changed because they remain, what are they, fifth in payroll in the National League? I mean, they remain very competitive in
They
payroll.
slide down. They were fourth.
Were they fourth in payroll?
They were 2 weeks ago. I don't know.
So
they may have slid,
slid
down.
They're still up there in terms of being able to absolutely back up what they've been saying. Now, if they go and all of a sudden are the A's or the Pirates, and are at the bottom of the payroll level like they were 10, 15 years ago, well, that's a completely different situation. So, at this point, there's been no bait and switch. There's been no change in the promise that even Peter Seidler has made. They've just run into the point where, they've kind of hit the ceiling of their spending and they can't go much higher than they are right now. And now you have to be smart. Now you have to combine the increases that you've made by also being smart at the same time. That's what the Dodgers are very smart too. You have to be smart about your spending. The Padres
they don't
have made
have
some
to be
mistakes.
smart
They
about
don't.
their spending. They don't. They can pay Trevor Bauer $40 million a year and have everything that happened to him happen. They can swing and miss, Ben. They can swing and miss feasibly on 7, 8 players, and we can't swing and miss once. We've already swung and missed on some guys, and you're now sitting there as a Padres fan, crossing your fingers and doing voodoo in your home to try to make sure that we get just a solid year from some of the guys that we've added over the last couple. So there is not the ability. Not a lot of teams have the ability to swing and miss on 1 year, $30 million, $40 million deals. Not a lot of teams have the ability to swing and miss on a 10-year. You don't see the Dodgers doing a lot of 10, 12-year deals, certainly. And they have for some guys, but so far they've picked the right ones. We really haven't in that case. I mean,
there's definitely, I think Tatis is the right one. Manny's been the right one so far. So that's, Xander, jury's definitely out on that one, whether they should have done that one. But so that's where we kind of stand with the Padres ownership. Today feels like, a big day, but ultimately I don't expect major changes or announcements coming out of the vote today. It's probably going to be more. Well,
he's not going to get confirmed and be like, all right, here we go.
Usual. Yeah,
Alex Bregman, welcome to town.
I don't think that's going to happen. So just keep your expectations somewhat limited in that sense. All right, you did hear though that other option that the Padres were potentially talking about something bigger. Would be surprising, but it's out there. We'll get to that next year on The Fan. Hour number 2 of Ben and Woods. Don't forget, coming up at 9 o'clock this morning, we will announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game. Just register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. I will add just to our conversation about, payroll commitments and the big contracts. If you're not making any mistakes on big contracts, then you probably aren't trying enough.
That's a good point. It's a good point you make, because there are teams out there that they never throw the dice. They really don't. And what were the biggest contract? I mean, you read what some of the biggest contracts that certain teams give out, and I think it was the A's this offseason, and the biggest contract they ever gave out was it the Severino deal?
Yeah, Severino deal is like their new record, I think.
Which is insane to me. And they were doing that for years. They were operating in that weird money ball.
Tampa Bay's was the Ha-Seong Kim is the biggest deal they've given out since Greg Vaughn in 25 years to at least a not one of their own free agents.
Right.
Obviously, Wander Franco got a huge one.
How'd that go?
Huge miss. Hopefully for them, they're not going to have to pay out every cent of.
There's
that
no
one.
way. There's no chance.
The Padres had to pay out every cent for Eric Hosmer.
Yep, still paying.
That was a miss. But if you are. I mean, what's the good percentage on big franchise contracts? If you're getting 2 out of 3 right, you're doing pretty well.
Well, but I'll tell you, though, it certainly changes. Everybody's contract, including Bogey and Crony and anybody that has any beef with any contract, Manny, that the Padres are handed out, it all washes away with a World Series win last year. You can look at the end of the contract. If they won one World Series while they were here under their long-term deal, especially in a market like this, a team with the history of not winning a World Series, win. Oh, man, that Manny contract's going to hamstring us when he's 37. Yeah, he won a World Series. Who cares? Who cares? Like the guy, we won a World Series. You guys remember the parade? Remember Ben had his shirt off? He had his mesh shirt on. Remember that? He had the ball gag in. We were pouring champagne all over. You guys remember? Nobody cares what Manny does when he's 37 if you win a World Series when he's 34.
Yep.
They just don't. You don't. You happily, you look and you might grouse a little bit like, man, but I'd love to get back and win another one. But, man, it's so easy to justify any big contract if you win a World Series. It just is. I was thinking about the Yankees and think about Alex Rodriguez and all the money he made up until he finally got his in 2009. They're happy as a clam to pay A-Rod what they paid him because he helped win him a World Series. So and
we all agree the Padres had the team to win the World Series last year.
100%.
Even the Dodgers agree. More audio.
We got to stop with this.
Dodgers
this is making it worse.
Yesterday on that.
Why are they doing this?
It didn't happen. And that's the tough thing because the playoffs are, so random. All you can do if you're AJ Preller is try to put a team on the field that has the ability to win the World Series. And then it comes down to, can they actually do it in the postseason? So, sometimes contracts, long-term contracts, start really good and then don't look so good at the end. And the Cardinals have seen that with Nolan Arenado. Now, they didn't sign him originally. They traded for him with the Colorado Rockies, but that wasn't a bad deal when Nolan Arenado originally signed it. He was, top flight player in the National League, credible Gold Glove defense, a good offensive player as well, helped both the Rockies and then the Cardinals for a couple of years. But here at the end, that deal has become an albatross. The Cardinals are trying to rebuild. They're trying to get out from under it. It doesn't seem to me like the Padres, based on the offseason, would be even remotely in the conversation for Nolan Arenado yet.
And again, take it with a grain of salt, but there was a St. Louis Cardinal insider yesterday tweeting about that there was a little bit of smoke around Nolan Arenado coming here. It's a weird one for me. I don't know what he would do. I don't know where he would play. I'm assuming it wouldn't be third. I also heard this insider said Manny Machado would be all in favor of it. And I'll tell you, if they found a way to trade for Nolan Arenado and didn't have to pay a ton of money for him, I'm sure we'd all get on board no matter where they put him. He's a player that you could get behind, but I just don't know what he's got left in the tank. I think he hit 270 last year, 16 homers, something like that. I mean, all right, great. He needs a fresh start in his career. That could be the Him going to a new team may help, but it's weird because he did turn down he was traded to the Astros and he nixed it. So how badly does he want to get out of St. Louis? This is one of the teams he would play for. I mean, he said that before. We've done a few of the square peg in the round hole thing here for a while now. We've had guys playing out of position. We've moved positions. Think about all the movement that we've had, guys, for the stars that we've signed. Xander's played a couple different positions. Ha-Seong Kim played three different positions. Jake Cronenworth played 3 different positions. Jackson Merrill was a shortstop, now plays center field. Fernando Tatis was a shortstop. He plays right field. Where does Nolan Arenado fit in the San Diego Padres if they were able to get the Cardinals to eat salary and not have to trade massive prospects back? If they just wanted to dump him here, where does he play? Does he play first? Does he DH? Does he play short? Does Manny play short? Like, what do we do?
Nolan Arenado has played 1,629 games. He has also played 1,629 games at third base.
Third base is where he plays.
He is a third baseman.
Third baseman.
He did, Andy, in the chat, did he play for Schulte? He did in 2021. His first season with the Cardinals was Mike Schultz's last season. Had a 4-WAR year, had a very solid year. I mean, how does this deal even work? I mean, you'd imagine the Cardinals have to pick up a massive amount of that salary.
And how willing are they?
They don't trade him unless they at least get some salary savings. So
we should talk to an insider.
Padres would have to be on the hook for some of that.
I'm going to text her right now.
Have guys bounce back. We saw it on the pitching side last year. Chris Sale, who had a terrible season with the Red Sox, was given away. I mean, the Red Sox had to pick up some of his salary, I believe. And what does he go out? Has a Cy Young year for the Atlanta Braves. Could Nolan Arenado bounce back and have, he's not completely over the hill. This will be his age 34 season. So, there's the thought that he could have a bounce back season if he was traded. I just don't know how the Padres make this work based on what we've seen so far this offseason. But maybe, they've been working on this real hard for weeks and weeks, and that's why they haven't been doing anything else. And when A.J. Preller tells me, we need to pick up a bat or two, well, he's a bat. He's a better bat than, what your current options are. Even a declined Nolan Arenado is a better offensive option than the other things that we've been discussing. Tommy Pham or whoever else they didn't sign. You'd rather have Nolan Arenado and find a place to play him.
Well, like I said, man, I mean, we've been comparing our third baseman to Nolan for years. Manny makes the plays look so much easier than Nolan does. Nolan makes everything look harder than it has to be. But again, a baseball guy through and through that you could 1,000% be like, yes. If you got Nolan Arenado, I get it. 34. You'd be like, God, yes.
Never said a bad word about you, man.
California kid. So I don't know, man. I don't know where they would put him.
Someone would have to play out of position, clearly. Whether it's
welcome to the Padres. Everybody plays out of position.
Multiple people might have to play out of position because you could move Nolan to first, but then where does Arise go? Does he go back to second? Then where does Jake go? Does he go to the outfield?
Like Friars on the Farm says, any trade would have to be a DeVries or Salas to offset payroll. Forget it. Like we don't need Nolan Arenado. You're the ones that need to get rid of him.
Right.
It doesn't need to hurt us. It needs to hurt you. If you want him gone, let's make it happen. He wants to play here.
The market has been incredibly soft. So, and he's got he's got that no trade clause. So. The Cardinals have very little leverage here to get
100%
much back from the Padres.
Mosaic's at the winter meetings going, we got to get rid of this guy. We're going to trade Nolan Arenado. They did it. They got rid of Goldie. Nolan doesn't want to be there. And you've lost your leverage.
As Rod says, like they did somewhat last season and in 2023, you switch up the DHing duty. So, Manny gets a day off his feet every 3 or 4 days, and then, Nolan plays third. Arise, will DH a little bit, and Nolan could move over to first. Arise moves to second. Jake DHs and has a day off his feet, and you just keep circling the DH.
Oh, God,
around.
Look at us sitting in here talking ourselves into getting Nolan Arenado. He's probably still going to be a Dodger at the end of the day, but, for now, we can, again, I saw it on Twitter, probably means less than nothing, about as much validity to it as the Xander Bogaerts back to Boston stuff I saw on Twitter. I'm just telling you. I texted Katie, St. Louis Cardinals insider and beat reporter, if there's any smoke to that at all. I don't know how active they are behind the scenes trying to move him. Sounds like they are. Boston is another place where he could absolutely go. They want to get Devers off of third because why would you put Devers at third when you can put Nolan Arenado at third in Boston? I think he's a great fit there.
Honestly, he's a better fit there
100%
than he is in San Diego.
But Bregman's still out there as well. He's been rumored to Boston. I think he's been rumored to the Cubbies as well. Still a really big name out there. Now, Bregman, not a guy that you would expect to end up in a place like this. Still heard him to the Dodgers, which is insane.
Again, my brain is telling me that this doesn't really make a lot of sense for the Padres given where they are and the other needs that they have.
It doesn't. But I get excited.
The one thing that I keep coming back to is it would be a very A.J. Preller-esque move.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, this screams A.J. Preller.
Well, I just got a text from our buddy Corey. He goes, we don't have a DH. But if you get a Nolan Arenado, you do. You've got Luis Ariz, and you got Nolan Arenado, and you've got Manny Machado, and you've got Xander Bogaerts, and you got
Jake Cronenworth.
You got any of those guys can
just keep rotating the infield around as DHs every other day, and everybody gets some time off.
How much does that wear on a big leaguer, at least, where you really don't know? For the guys that we're talking about in the infield, you're like, I could be playing second tonight. I could be playing first. Could be on the
Jake
back.
handles it well.
Jake's great at it.
Ariz did it. He went second, first a bit already.
But
he did it.
The thing about Luis Ariz, we know for a fact, his former manager told me he does not like the DH. He does not want to be a full-time DH. That's something I'll tell you straight up. He wants to play in the field. Played really well in the field in the playoffs.
He did.
He was
really
good.
Yeah.
He was really good in the playoffs. Defensively, he didn't hit in the playoffs, which was bizarro world. Luis Ariz can't hit in the playoffs, but he can field. Right? That's the stupidity of this game of course.
Yeah.
But that's the stupidity of this game that we've dedicated ourselves to. Luis Ariz cannot hit in the playoffs, but he picks it at first base like it's nobody's business. So I don't mind the rotating DH. I really don't. Then again, if they're like, we're bringing in J.D. Martinez on a $10 million deal, 1-year deal to hit in the DH spot, I don't mind that either. So they have a few different options, but what are they going to do? What can they do? And, we'll see.
All right, we've got Don't Do This coming up next. We will get into a little bit of the basketball talk there and a funny moment last night when the Jimmy Butler trade was first announced. And I know one of your favorite guys, Brian Kelly, is in the middle of a really interesting accusation.
Kind of
back
awful.
And forth. Yeah, it sounds awful. He denies it. We'll tell you what's going on with him coming up next in Don't Do This.
Well, hey, listen, if you are suffering right now, you're listening to the show, and you're thinking, man, my knees are killing me, my back's killing me, I can hardly get out of bed, I have awful joint pain, it's impacting everything in my life, walking, climbing stairs, getting in and out of the car even hurts. Guys, time to call QC Kinetics. Talking about pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, your back. For me, it was my wrists. And I went in, got the treatments, was skeptical. I'll be honest with you. Didn't know if it was going to work. Got a couple treatments and thought, man, this thing is really, really starting to feel better. Next thing you know, I'm playing baseball again. I'm playing golf again with no pain. It's been incredible. Talked to a lot of the guys at Fantasy Camp about it. Have had our buddy Carl went in and got his first treatment a couple weeks ago. QC Kinetics works. Make the call today. Talk to the local medical professionals. Their orthobiologic cellular therapies, including PRP, can revitalize your joints without going under the knife. It's really simple. It really is. You'll be surprised how simple it is. Joint pain doesn't get better over time, so before it's debilitating, see if you're a candidate for these life-changing regenerative treatments today. Call QC Kinetics, one in Torrey Hills, one in Hillcrest. You'll get a free consultation. 619-614-PAIN, 619-614-PAIN. It's QC Kinetics at 619-614-PAIN.
Don't Do This in a little breaking news about the Padres when we come back here on 97.3 The Fan. We're going to push back, don't do this morning for the breaking news involving your San Diego Padres. And again, from Kevin Acey of the Union Tribune, just tweeting that John Seidler has been unanimously approved by MLB owners as the Padres' new control person. So, officially, after an interim year from Eric Katsenda following the passing of Peter Seidler, John Seidler is now what most fans would consider the owner of the San Diego Padres. Now, financially, he's certainly not a majority owner. He's not a Steve Cohen who just, hey, I just own the team. It's my team. He is one member of a consortium of family members and other outside investors who actually do own the Padres. But for Major League Baseball's purposes, they always require one person to be the ultimate decision maker for a franchise. They can't have a bunch of different voices. It's not this is not a collaborative effort. When it comes to the, voting on things in Major League Baseball, they need one person who has the authority to make decisions for an organization, and that will now be John Seidler going forward for the San Diego Padres.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Can't say that anybody's really surprised right now how that worked out. And honestly, I wish I could come on here and tell everybody, oh, this is great news, or this is going to be okay. I don't know. I just don't know. It's the word I've really been focused on the offseason has been murky. And while this, Ben, gives you a little bit more clarity, and like I mentioned earlier, once the person is named, yeah, okay, so it kind of falls on that person, right? When you hear control, I control the team. Hence, I control the spending of the team. I control what we do, the direction of the team. That's the control person. It's in the title, right? So, like Eric had said, it was interim control person. Interim. I'm not going to be here forever. Never busted the guy's balls once.
Even if you're a control person, you can't go against the wishes of everybody else who owns the team.
Right.
You still have to have your own meetings with your board and your other owners, and they will set the direction collectively of the franchise. He doesn't get to be a dictator about what the San Diego Padres do or don't do.
There's a few. There's a few in baseball.
Oh, yeah, there are some, but not with the Padres.
Not with the Padres. It's not going to be the case.
So Caitlin asked, does this mean the lawsuit is over? No, it has no impact at all.
Lawsuit continues.
What has not happened, Sheel Seidler has not received any legal injunctions or anything to stop this from happening. So, Major League Baseball is going to continue on with business as usual. But if one day, a judge rules in favor of Sheel Seidler, that will upend this decision in the balance. So, no, nothing changes in terms of the lawsuit at the moment, although it is, probably advantageous for John Seidler to already be in the position in terms of, occupying and doing the job. If you'll just, again, kind of explain how it works. And again, I've become more of an expert on trust and wills lately, but, I'm not a lawyer when it comes to this sort of thing. The estate of Peter Seidler, what he left, and the instructions that at least, were indicated and that the Padres are currently following, was that Peter left his trust to be managed by one of his brothers. It started out as Bob, then Matt
stepped down.
Then Bob stepped down, then Matt became the trustee. And then Matt named as one of the duties of the trustee of his estate. One of the duties, he was to name a new control person. And he has named John, who is now in charge. John is expected to then become the new trustee for the estate. So he is legally obligated and responsible for what Peter Seidler basically left in his will. Now, the beneficiary of his estate is Sheel Seidler and Peter's kids. So even though he's the one who is in charge and managing the estate, he's doing it on behalf, essentially, of Sheel Seidler and the kids. And this is where the lawsuit comes in. She now doesn't think that he should be the one who is running the Padres.
Correct.
Since he is ostensibly running it for her and her kids' benefit, she thinks she should be the one who's making the decisions. But according to the documents that were left from Peter Seidler, that's not how he set up his estate.
Right.
And that's what's the heart of this legal dispute between the two sides is who should be in charge of the estate and in charge of the San Diego Padres.
Seeing different mixed reactions online. I just saw a Dodger fan tweet, "This is a good move for the San Diego Padres." I wrote him back because I follow him. He's a pretty funny dude. I said, "The fact that you like this makes me nervous." What do you know that I don't know about John Seidler and maybe his Dodger history? And then Bean Eater Buzz, a big Braves fan, says, "We might see a fire sale in San Diego soon." I don't know what naming and control person, what that would do to lead you to believe that the Padres are about to have a fire sale. I don't. I don't see the correlation there.
No, I mean, they could have started if they wanted to.
I think they already would have started.
They could have already started it. I don't
Right.
think this changes much in terms of the direction of the team.
I don't know. I can't even speak to that. I can't say that it does or it doesn't. I have no idea. Again, it's very important for the control person to go on record with the intentions.
What would trigger a fire sale is usually if the idea is to sell the team and to have it as streamlined as possible for a new owner.
Then you just start unloading. That's what you do.
Which we've seen in other organizations.
Yep.
Now, Peter Seidler had always said that was never the intention. After he was gone, he wanted the team to stay in his family for decades and decades.
And even explicitly kind of laying out he wanted his kids to run the team. Now, this is not Little Big League. We're not going to have a 12-year-old running the San Diego Padres. I think everybody's okay and on board with that. That kicks in, Ben, I believe when one of them turns 40. Is that right?
That's when they can become controlling of the trust, which would be when they could then control the team. So, yeah, in 28 years or so, if the team is still run by the Seidler family, they would have the opportunity to take control of the trust, their interest in the Padres, and then maybe be named control person of the Padres.
Wouldn't that preclude them from, in fact, selling the team or right? Like
no, not necessarily.
If in so many years,
because right now, whoever is the trustee has the legal authority to act on behalf of the trust, even if you never know what could come up financially.
Sure.
They may, for the best interest of the kids, decide, selling the team may be the best interest of the kids. Even if, everyone would love to own a baseball team at some point, if you're not going to make it that far financially and you have to sell the team, then that's what the decision the trust has to make.
That's tough, man.
But, again, they...
Ray says 2052 is going to be generational. Yeah. It's going to be a really, really great year.
So, again, this doesn't clear up a lot of the same uncertainties that have been going on throughout this offseason, but it is just another step in the process that John Seidler has been named this morning, voted unanimously by MLB owners. So not even a single one of them saw any reason to delay this or question it. Approved as the new control person for the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's kind of what we expected to happen. This is what happened. Our buddy Tommy with basically, I think it's probably the feeling of most fans, to be honest. He's like, okay, I'll reserve judgment on this until I see the financial commitment from the team. And if the financial commitment is there, great. If it's not great.
John Seidler, you're on the clock.
Yeah,
now.
you're on the clock. John Seidler, you're on the clock.
Some moves. Let's go.
That's the thing, though. I mean, do they have to spend like the Dodgers and Mets for you to feel like he's a good owner?
Just address the areas
address
of need.
the areas of need. Put a competitive
What if that requires those spending like the Dodgers and Mets? Like, you don't know. You could spend $50 million right now. You might not address a single need if you spend it badly, and then you just have more needs. Like, are you okay
well, then if
going forward if the Padres spend up to the luxury tax?
Yeah, I think.
Are you okay with that? As like if he came out and said our plan is to spend every dollar every year, up to the luxury tax, but we're really not planning on going over it. But we feel like that's a really aggressive move based on our market and our market size. Every year going forward, we're going to spend up to up to the luxury tax.
My next question for him then would be a simple one. You need to, as a control person of a team, you're going to have to go over the luxury tax sometime, right? Like, if you want to win, you're going to have to go over it. Now,
a lot of teams don't.
A lot of teams don't win, too. I mean, you have a pie, a percentage of the pie in Major League Baseball at the bottom third, right, of teams. 10.
The Braves won a World Series. They don't go over the luxury tax.
They never have? They've never gone over the tax?
I think they're very careful not to. I mean, you know, there is a way to win if you spend up to the luxury tax.
They have a TV deal?
They do, yeah.
So, I mean, these are all things that need to get worked out in the next few years. But, yeah, I mean, look, again, if that's the plan, fine. I just, we need to know what the plan is. You got to be on record with the plan. You're keeping the team in San Diego. Obviously, we've heard that. You're not planning on selling the team anytime soon, whatever. Need to hear that. And, hey, we want to win a World Series. Not we want to be competitive. No. We want to win a World Series. That was our brother's vision, and that's what we want to do, is win a World Series.
But again, as you said, you have to watch the actions. John Fisher would love to win a World Series.
Would he?
Yeah.
I don't think he could say that with a straight face.
If he could spend the minimum on every player and win a World Series, he'd absolutely sign up for it.
Probably every owner would.
Every owner would. I mean, even the Guggenheim Group would say, hey, if we could win a World Series and spend $40 million on our team, they do it too. That's just smart business. The less you spend with the more success you have is always good for any professional sports owner.
Yeah. I mean, look,
it's just not realistic.
You need to, spend this, spend that, right? You have to put a product on the field that is commensurate with the people in the stadium, right? If nobody shows up because you're not spending, that's on you. People are going to show up. They've packed the place. They're on fire for the team. You've got some momentum. It's very important to me, and I think the city and the fan base, that, Ben, you keep that momentum rolling.
Again, fans don't show up based on how a team spends, though. They show up on how they play, how the team plays.
Yeah, fair.
That's what they're ultimately judged off of.
All right, then what's the excuse in Tampa?
I don't know. They have a terrible stadium.
Okay. Well, we got a good stadium.
Yeah. All right, we have to take a time out. We will definitely have more on this as any details emerge from the owners' meetings in Florida. We pushed Don't Do This back as well, but we got Mick Shaffer coming up in our next segment. We wanted to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Super Bowl on Sunday. That is coming up next.
Well, listen, here's if you're a homeowner right now, you may not own a baseball team, but you want to get out from some high-interest debt, just call Loan Pronto. They can wipe it all out for you right now with their Rapid Equity Loan. Makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Maybe you have your own little Gallagher Square, Ben, and you want to remodel it at the house. You can do that. You can get cash in your pocket fast, no appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. With their AI-driven technology, you can get approved and funded in as little as a day. Low fixed rates, lightning fast transfers. Do it. All right, consolidate your debt, improve your home, take control of your finances, zero it out. It feels so good. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 619-207-4336. Or go to loanpronto.com. You can get the process started there. But you can get a free rate quote now with no hard credit pull at 619-207-4336. It's loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
I will say there is a sense that Mysterio owns the San Diego Padres.
Very
now,
much
just
so.
Because of how little we do know about John Seidler.
Yeah.
And we haven't even really been able to find a picture of John Seidler, which is one of the reasons why when people say, he goes to dozens of games. Well, we wouldn't know because don't know what he looks like.
He could walk through
Didn't really even know.
Here, and I have no idea.
I knew Peter Seidler had many, many siblings, but I never kept track of them, when he was alive, so it just was not on my radar. Like, okay, well, it's one of his many, many siblings. Great. Never met him. And that's I think that's the biggest challenge he'll face now as control person is convincing Padres fans that he carries a passion for the Padres and a desire to bring success to the city and the organization. And I'm sure they're thinking about that as well, inside the halls of the front office of the San Diego Padres. Like, okay, now that he's here, what's our strategy? How do we present this, and how do we move forward?
Well, and again, you I'm not saying that I have this sense, but it is absolutely possible, maybe even feasible, that because somebody is named control person, we just saw it with Eric Katsenda. Didn't really want the gig. Wasn't dedicated to the San Diego Padres and its fan base like Peter was, like Ron was. You knew with those guys, these guys are about winning. Do they make all the right moves? No, they don't. But they are absolutely committed to winning. They're committed to accountability. Peter told us many times, kill us. If we're terrible, kill us. Ron told us many times, if we suck, tell us, right? I don't know that. That's the thing I'm most worried about is somebody coming in here, Ben, with 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? You want somebody to be all in. I wouldn't want to hire a fourth voice for this show if they're like, I don't really like mornings. Well, you're not a fit. You're not a fit. So I need somebody that's committed to the team here. And if that's him, great. We'll figure it out. And then we'll watch you based on your actions. But if it's another situation where it's like, I'm the kind of the last guy here, and I'm not named in the lawsuit, so that's why they put me in there. Yeah, man, I think you're okay to feel a little bit of trepidation about it. I think that's completely natural. Now, if he comes out, he's like, I'm ready to kill, I'm ready to maim. Great, we'll talk about it then. But right now, there's still just a lot of unknown.
I would think that would be the best strategy going forward. Like, hey, let's see. When you do speak, and again, it may not happen for a while. There are a lot of, legal issues still going on that have to be settled and sorted. But when he does, I would like to see, some passion and enthusiasm for the San Diego Padres like we experienced with Peter Seidler.
Well, and you're certainly seeing it from the fans. So I think that needs to be reciprocated.
All right, I think Paulie is setting up our next guest. So why don't we take a quick check of traffic? Paulie is multitasking now. And we'll check traffic with Kelly, and then we'll come back with Mick Shaffer here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Definitely getting a little busier on our roads. Crash has cleared from the right lanes on southbound 5 near 28th Street, but now north 805 near Plaza, we have reports of a crash. It's been cleared over the right shoulder. Also, a vehicle spun out on the Hamishaw off-ramp. Northbound 125 is blocking that left lane. We still have a couple of problems in the North County, southbound side of the 15 past Felicita. Accident involving several vehicles, including a motorcycle. That's been cleared over to the right shoulder. Northbound 15 before Carmel Mountain Road. Got a stalled car between the HOV and Fast Lane. And Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So again, we don't necessarily do like the team previews from week to week, but when two of our favorites happen to also cover the teams in the Super Bowl, was a no-brainer for us. So yesterday
I texted Mick. I said it's time for our annual. Chiefs are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're in the Super Bowl again.
Let's go out to Kansas City.
So we had John Marks yesterday to talk Eagles, and joining us right now to talk a little bit about the Kansas City Chiefs is Mick Shaffer, sports director, KSHB, 41 News, NBC in Kansas City, and one of our favorites. Mick, welcome back to Ben & Woods in San Diego. How you doing?
What's up, boys? It's been a while. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, I mean, are you bored with all these? Are you bored yet? Is this becoming old hat? Just trying to make travel plans and figuring out to go to another Super Bowl?
I took last year's Super Bowl off. This is how ridiculous it's getting. They are like, well, we got you. I'm like, I don't want to go. Like, we have a couple others on staff. They both want to go. They're young and they're dumb.
Yeah.
And they haven't gone to Miami and Phoenix and Tampa and LA, all these others, Atlanta, when Mahomes got his MVP. I'm like, I'm tired of it. So I took Las Vegas off. So I'm rested and ready to go here in New Orleans. We just had our last day of Chiefs availability, and it's just been 4 straight days. We're just tired. Everybody's tired. Nobody wanted to be there. The media's tired of it. The players are certainly tired of us.
Oh, yeah.
So we're done and going to go eat a beignet or something.
What can you imagine? Padres have gone to 4 of the last 5 World Series. Like, I just don't want to go again.
Do not send me to Philly.
Too many World Series.
Don't send me to New York. I cannot do this, man.
And the funny thing is, Mick, obviously we've been seeing nothing, but they call it Chiefs fatigue,
yeah,
fan backlash,
Chief derangement syndrome
around the country. I'm trying to picture because Kansas City is small market, like kind of like San Diego is, and it's almost impossible to imagine. Could you have ever dreamed that the Chiefs would become so successful and so ubiquitous that 90% of the country would hate the team there?
Yeah, no one ever thought that. I covered the team since 1998, and most of the years were just they waxed poetic about the 2003 season forever when they went 13-3. But then lost to Peyton Manning in the first round of playoffs. that was it. There was the no punt game. Nobody punted, and they lost. And that was like the best it got. It seemed. I mean, the Super Bowl seemed like miles away. Like even an AFC Championship game, they really never sniffed it. And now it's a rite of passage. Mahomes has never not made an AFC Championship game. He's never ended his season before the clock hit 0 in the AFC Championship game. Both times were in overtime, and so. Yeah, no, it's wild that this is the case, and I can't believe the NFL has rigged it this way. They want their 6th smallest market to just be this dynasty. It's amazing. They want their teams in New York to be awful, and their teams in LA to be mid, and Kansas City to dominate for a day. It's great that all 32 owners have come together and decided this should be the case.
Was I right or was I right? Okay, so yesterday we talked to our pal John Marks in Philly. We did our little Eagles preview, and I said, we're talking to Mick Shaffer tomorrow. I said, one of us needs to bring up Refgate and just let him go off. And I said, I guarantee you he's going to have a killer rant for us tomorrow.
Unprovoked.
Unprovoked, by the way. I didn't even have to bring it up. Man, I'll tell you, I saw a pretty interesting comment from I can't remember who it was yesterday, but it was at Media Day, and it was one of the Chiefs. I want to say he was a receiver. And he came from the Cowboys. And he was talking. Yep, okay. And he was talking. Tight end. And he was talking about the difference. He said, man, look, no offense to Dallas, but when I was in Dallas, it was really about the spectacle of being a Dallas Cowboy. He goes, I get to Kansas City, and I realize they're all football. I mean, they're all football. No spectacle. They're all about football in Kansas City. And I imagine you could probably attest to that. And that's probably a reflection of Andy Reid.
It's all Andy Reid, right? I mean, Brett Veach, the GM, he makes decisions, but he was a former intern for Andy Reid, right? He came up under Andy, and so has Mahomes and all these guys. And we said it in the live shot the other night. It's like, I mean, watch out, NFL. Andy Reid's the king of routines, and now he has this Super Bowl routine down. And so it is, and I mean, it's got to be hard to do, right? All these millionaire athletes kind of with their own brands already. Even if they lose, they're going to Cancun. They have great lives. If you lose the Super Bowl this year, you still get $97,000.
Yeah.
Every player. The winner gets $171. I'm like, well, I'd gladly lose. So I imagine it's harder these days to kind of keep that culture going and instill it. And you kind of at every step along the way, every leadership position, you need to have those dynamic. The Chiefs have it with Reid, and then they fell into this generational quarterback of Patrick Mahomes, who's the same way and checks every box. It's just kind of just great at everything he does, and that's why I guess you see like 6 quarterbacks drafted every first round.
Yep.
Someone like, well, we don't really believe in this guy, but hey, nobody really believed in Mahomes, and the Chiefs kind of fell into him. Maybe we can catch lightning in a bottle too. But that's what's happened here.
Talking to Mick Shaffer, sports director in Kansas City, covering the Chiefs. And what do you make of the notion that this is actually probably the least talented Chiefs team of the bunch? And that's part of the salary cap and the moves that you got to make to keep it going. Here they are. They lost essentially one game in the regular season. I don't count the last one, and have taken out a couple of good teams in the playoffs and are about to a chance to win another Super Bowl. Yet a lot of people think this isn't as good as the last couple of Super Bowl winners.
They're better than last year.
Okay.
I learned last year not to buy into these guys like ever losing. We had ski trip plans for like early February, and they're like, maybe we shouldn't. I'm like, this team ain't getting there, and so I obviously canceled my ski trip plans last year. I'm like, they were 11-5. I mean, and didn't matter. It didn't matter. And I think this year's team's better. The changes they made at offensive line. Joe Tooney at left tackle. I mean, he's not your prototypical left tackle, but he's a guy that gets in the way, right? He's got good footwork and he's a great offensive lineman that can play tackle. Better receiving core. I'm missing Rashee Rice is huge, but you brought in Hollywood Brown. Xavier Worthy's been a great first-round pick for him. And the defense is still good. They've had some cornerback issues. So I think this year's team's better than last year. But it's funny. I mean, they haven't lost ever since they traded away Tyreek Hill, which was some people thought was going to be the end-all, be-all.
Yeah.
They haven't lost a playoff game.
Crazy. It's crazy.
They've won 2 straight and maybe 3 straight Super Bowls here. And look, I mean, the Eagles are more talented across the board, up and down the roster. They're going to, you do the head-to-head, they're going to have more check marks on their side, but I don't think it's going to matter. The Bills are better.
Yeah.
Maybe not at a lot of positions defensively, but I mean, there's dynamic players there. It didn't matter. The Chiefs are going to win their 18th straight one-score game.
Mick, really appreciate.
You heard the call. There it is. He's confident in the Chiefs.
All right. Well, I mean, why would he have any reason not to
I know.
be at this point?
At this point, right?
Yeah, you have to.
Quickly, any flavor of New Orleans? Anything fun happened to you while you were there?
A lot of stuff. I've the palate of a 6-year-old. I'm chicken strips. Sign me up. They don't have those, but there's been a lot of good food here. I try to pronounce all the street names with the Cajun, Bayou, French, whatever. What's it? Chapatulas? Is that it? We learned it last. Chapatulas.
Chapatulas.
Which sounds innocent enough, but there's like 25 letters in that word, and it begins with a T. Begins with TCH.
What's the lake called there? The one that flooded?
Pontchartrain.
Pontchartrain.
Yeah. That's there. I got that one down. I've learned that right now I'm like 8 feet below sea level.
Yeah.
Standing in the French Quarter. That's cool. I held a gator at media night the other night.
That's too much.
And they didn't have the mouth taped shut. That's a good. This thing's like 5 feet long.
Forget it.
And it's like a pet. Yeah, I'm like,
forget it.
What? Shouldn't you tape the mouth up? Like, oh, she's fine.
She's fine.
Minnie, she's fine. And then they give it to him they're like, be sure to hold the head higher than the tail. I'm like,
right.
What happened? What happened? What happened? Tell me what happened.
You've seen Happy Gilmore. You know exactly what happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have a wooden hand for the rest of your life.
I held that head so damn high. It was like doing a
Lion King,
doing a bong shot, right? A beer, like all that. Put it up, right? The tail was like just dragging the ground. I'm like, hey, you told me to.
That's amazing. Well, good luck to you guys. I don't think you're going to need much luck, but. Hey, listen, they've gotten a little luck. You can't deny, but it's no big deal. I think now the officials will go the other way.
Who wins the championship without a little bit of luck?
You got to have a little luck, man. I mean,
you have to.
You have to.
Yeah, I mean, we did a story on they've had field goals to win, a blocked field goal to win, a botched snap to win, a toe out of bounds to win, walk-off touchdown in overtime to win. I don't know what's left. Maybe they channel out of the stadium for a win. I don't know what's left, but something.
Can't wait.
Somewhere's going to happen.
Thank you, brother. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your time there.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Mick Shaffer, Kansas City. And, man, I like both of our guys so much.
So good. It's hard, man. They both convinced me for their team. They're both very confident in their team.
I mean, Mick admits, pound for pound, Eagles probably have the better roster, which is why I'm going with the Eagles. But you can't deny doesn't really matter. The Chiefs often beat teams that look better on paper than they are.
They know how to win. The routine of going to the Super Bowl every year for Andy Reid and his team, it makes it really hard to pull the trigger on a bet against those guys.
I think it helps the Eagles that they were there just 2 years ago with a lot of these same guys. That that advantage will be somewhat mitigated. I mean, I'm talking myself into the Eagles, but
you bring back. If you're the Eagles, you got Saquon Barkley now. You're going to lean on him. If you're the Chiefs, you try to stop him.
If the Chiefs win on a touchdown with 10 seconds left, I'm not going to go here Monday and go, can't believe that happened. Right. It's crazy. I should have. I'll say, I should have known it. I should have known it. I'm sticking with my Eagles pick. I think they win, but I'm not going to be surprised, obviously, if the Chiefs find a way to win.
I don't think
again.
you can go into the game going, well, they can't just keep winning these close ball games, the Kansas City.
No, they can.
All they've done is do that for over a year now.
But are you confident enough to wear a mesh shirt on opening day?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not confident.
You were.
It's true. Now, it's true that you can't say that they're just they can't keep winning these close games. But at some point, they'll lose a close game. No one wins every close game. It's not ordained by the NFL football gods that they have to win every close game. So
we will see.
It will happen.
Check the script again.
I just don't think it's going to end up coming down to a field goal or anything at the end.
You think the Eagles are going to blow them out?
I got them by 10. Yeah, I do.
Wow.
All right, we'll come back, reset our top story, changing of ownership of the San Diego Padres, get into some of the hoops, and a lot more here with Ben and Woods.
All right, we are halfway home on a Thursday. Ben and Woods 97.3, The Fan. Been an exciting morning in here. First 2 hours usually fly by on the program. I'm Woodsy, that's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. I got a text from our buddy Travis. Said, whoever that dude you interviewed from New Orleans was absolutely electric. Could listen to him all day. Mick Shaffer's legit. Absolutely legit. We don't talk a lot of... We talk football, but we don't do a lot of the, hey, we're going to get the beat writer on or anything like that. But, man, you remember just how good Mick Shaffer is on the air. And you're like, we should probably talk to Mick Shaffer more when something pops up in Chiefs land. What a great resource to have. He's great. Sounds good on the air. Seemingly, I loved what he said. It was pure honesty about, I don't want to be here. I'm tired. Media day, it's a nightmare down there. And I think there's somebody driving in their car going to their 9 to 5. They're going, I would kill to do that. Sure, absolutely. I totally understand that as well.
I guess if you're going to go to a Super Bowl for the whole week, New Orleans, fun place to go.
Oh, I think he's fine with the travel. It's what's so hard about covering a Super Bowl. Not that I did it a ton,
it's
but
I
did it.
Show for
it's
straight
crazy.
days.
Think about it from the perspective of someone who covers one of the teams regularly, like Mick does. So they covered all the way into the playoffs. Guess what? Last week, they covered the Chiefs. They asked every question about the Super Bowl last week when they were in Kansas City, and they were doing practices and like, hey, you're going to the Super Bowl? What's this? And then they get to the Super Bowl, and guess what? Monday, media day, same questions. Tuesday, practice, same questions. Wednesday, practice, same questions. Thursday, practice, same questions. It's just rinse and repeat, and it's really hard to come up with new angles and new content. And you feel like, they sent me here. I'm supposed to come up with these great stories, but there's nothing new. They're getting ready for a game like they do every single week, except now we have 2 weeks to get ready for the same 3-hour football game. It's you against another opponent. There's only so much you can say about one game.
Yeah, I mean, I love the brutal honesty in it. But you made a good point, too. If the Padres were in their third consecutive World Series, and they're taking on, you name an American League team. They're taking on Houston, and you're going down there to cover it. Yeah, you'd like to think, it would be so refreshing every time. But the third time through, you'd be like, especially you won the first two. Like, had you not won, you'd be like, all right, this is the year. You'd won the first two. You got 2 chips, and you're down in Houston going, all right, Manny, so what were you looking for on that 3-2 pitch last? You know what I mean? It's the same type of thing. But, hey, listen, that Cadillac problems for Mick Shaffer. Agreed? Covering your third Super Bowl in a row?
Oh, yeah.
Cadillac problems.
Yes.
Indeed.
For
Like,
sure.
I don't know if I want to go this year. Where's the Super Bowl next year?
Right, exactly.
We're going.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
maybe I'll go to that trip.
We'll be there.
Right.
It's so funny he can't even plan trips around this time of year because there's a really good chance the Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl next year. So he can't plan his vacation in January or early February of next year.
I thought though his unprompted rant
was
about
fantastic.
All the Chiefs conspiracy theorists. Yes, the NFL owners have all gotten together and decided that the New York team should be terrible, the LA team should be mid, and Kansas City should be the unquestionable, dominant force in the National Football League. Of course, is silly when you actually hear it stated out loud, as so many conspiracy theories are.
Kansas City got to be one of the smaller markets, right? In the entire NFL?
Other than like Green Bay, it's definitely one of the smallest.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Green Bay, Kansas City. But because of, the structure of the NFL and the revenue sharing, the national TV deal, and the salary cap, doesn't matter how big your city is.
It really doesn't.
You just
everyone's
have
on
to be
equal footing.
Smart and get a good quarterback, and you can compete. It's not the same. It's not the same as baseball.
Nope, it's not. And I wonder if baseball will ever really get somewhere close to that.
I'd like to see it. You know me. I'd love to see a structure that levels the playing field a little bit. There will always be inherent advantages to teams in New York and LA. But you just want to soften those a little bit more if you can.
Yeah.
They need to follow. You can't follow the NFL. It's just too different with only 17 games per team and the national television deals and all that. They need to follow more like the NBA's model because there's 82 games 81?
82.
82
yeah.
in the NBA. So more than 17, less than 162, but a little bit closer, kind of in the middle there. And they have stupid amounts of money being divided to all 30 teams.
Yeah,
in the
and
NBA.
it is a better comparison because not every NBA game is nationally televised on TNT. You have your local games, and you always have your local baseball games. Every football game is nationally televised by CBS, Fox, ESPN, or Amazon or whoever.
NBC, Prime.
NBC. They're all nationally televised. So it's one national package, and everybody pretty much watches every game or Red Zone or whatever. But in baseball, the Twins, you may not see a regular season Twins game all year long.
You have to search it out.
Unless you're a really diehard fan and are searching it out. You're not just going to run across a Twins game like you would a Vikings game. Oh, I saw the Vikings play 8 times this year on Monday Night Football, Sunday night, Monday morning, Sunday morning, just happened to flip it on. They were on. You don't see that with the Twins. You don't see that with the Royals. The small market teams, they play almost 162 of their games just on their local, which is why the big cities go like, well, why should I have to share? They're not contributing to any of the national TV success. They're never on. Why should we give them all the money? What's the point of it? Which is why it's going to be very difficult for baseball to ever kind of get to that place where the NBA is.
Indeed, yeah, and hence why we're screaming towards a work stoppage here in a couple of years.
Cool.
If you missed it, our top story this morning, in Florida, MLB owners meeting, and they have voted, and unanimously, 29 to nothing.
Yeah.
Approved. John Seidler is the new control person. It does not need to be.
It had to be like
3/4.
2/3 or
Three-quarters, I
three-fourths.
think, yeah. But it was unanimous. Not a single owner said, I don't know if this is a great idea. They all said, looks good to me. We'll make him the new control person for the San Diego Padres. But we don't know what that means for the franchise, what that means for payroll commitments going forward. It simply is the next step in the process of, there is now an ultimate decision maker, and there's a name to attach some responsibility to going forward as owner of the Padres.
Yeah, which is what I think a lot of people, wanted. And I think it's important. I think it's very important. An organization in flux, in chaos, is not a strong organization. And it's just not. You have to have a point person, a leader, a control person that is going to maintain, to dictate what the vision is, and then to execute said vision. That's it. Every team needs a leader. Every team needs a leader. The democracy doesn't work in professional sports. It just doesn't. Much like it doesn't work in a band. Somebody needs to be the point person.
I'm giving John Seidler a clean slate starting today. And I know some fans are already, they're already against him. They already think the worst, and they're assuming the worst. I know the Padres would love to think, hey, he's got a Seidler as his last name.
Right.
You should love him like you did Peter. I'm not going to do that either. I'm just going to give him a blank slate and judge him on his actions and words from this point on.
Just like you would, I think, if anybody came in and bought the San Diego Padres. And we don't know anything about this guy. He used to own this team, and I don't know about his reputation. Well, that was then. This is now. Now you're the boss. You bought it. You got it. Now we're just going to judge you on every move you make, good, bad, indifferent. That's the way that it goes. That's how it works.
So you can't really assess anything until now they start to make some decisions and some moves going forward. And we'll see. It's also not like he has to do something in the first month or it's over. An ownership is a long-term commitment generally.
Well, again, yes, it is. Traditionally. But does he want to be the you know what I'm saying? Like, again, we just don't know enough. We don't know anything. So it's hard to speculate. It's hard to speculate what he wants to do and what they want to do right now as it stands. It's not like it's a little less murky, but it's still murky because we just don't have any answers yet. So, I like what you said. I think that's a fair statement, just like you would with any other owner that came into town or any other manager that started. They could have gone out and hired a new manager, and you're like, they hired him? Well, okay, he didn't do well in with the White Sox, but we're going to have to give him a shot here. Let's judge him on how he does with the Padres. Yeah, I mean, it's and same with a player. It's the same thing. So You judge them based on what they do and what their actions are and how they carry themselves and what they say.
Peter Seidler became one of the owners of the Padres in 2012. And we don't generally judge him on 2012 through 2019. Yep. Was he the control person? No, but he was pretty much the largest investor and biggest money person for the Padres for those 8 seasons. And none of them were very good for the San Diego Padres.
So Michael in the chat says, per the lawsuit documents, he knew he'd be the control person by the latest June. That would mean he was most likely working and ordering Katsenda during that whole time. I don't know that that's true. I know that it was said that they wanted to approve him. Can you go in and unilaterally make moves without having the control? I'm not sure. I have no idea what goes on in those meetings. So I don't know that that's the case.
Well, I mean, what did Eric Katsenda do wrong? Yes, they cut payroll last year. They also had their best season, one of the best seasons in franchise history. In the 1 year that he was the control person, Padres had one of the best seasons ever. Is that not what we're going to judge him on? Or
Correct.
What are we going to judge him on? So if that's the case, and that John Seidler was working with Eric Katsenda last year, we have one season then of evidence. It was a really, 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 really good season. I mean, are we not going to wait at least, a couple of days into this year to see how it goes?
I will. I absolutely will. I think that's reasonable, and I think it's fair. But we'll see. We'll see. It's like I said earlier. You wanted it, you got it. So now you're up there. What are you going to do about how fans are feeling? What the team is looking like? What are you going to do about what your superstar franchise player Manny Machado said at FanFest? I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the offseason.
And we got to take a break. We get it to take on Woods, but I've been accused of being Colonel Budget, and speaking for owners, and I haven't talked to any of them. No. But I'm trying to be fair. Is all I'm trying to be. And the Padres had a really good season last year, so I'm remaining open-minded that it could happen again. I agree that they've got areas to address, but I can't in good conscience sit here and say that they've driven the Padres ship into a reef.
An iceberg?
Into an iceberg, yes. Because it hasn't happened yet.
Janine makes a good point. Janine the assassin, my beloved. She says, Peter had to convince us too. I won't believe anything they say unless they put their money where their mouth is. I think that's absolutely more than fair. More than fair. And like I said, Janine, she doesn't mince words. She goes right here, right between the eyes. And I think that's a fair assessment of where we are right now. Keeping It Real says, hey, they replaced 12 WAR, then I'll applaud. Also fair assessment.
Yeah, but last year at this time we were saying,
where's the war coming from?
Where's the war coming from?
Yep.
And then they had a great year, so I'm just trying to stay open-minded. All right, we'll take a time out if you want to play Take on Woods. We got our daily game. Oh, no, it's real or fake because it's Throwback Thursday.
That's right. Thank God. Give me a breather.
Yeah, give Woods a day off. No need to have any musical trivia knowledge. Chance to qualify for Las Vegas. Coming up next, 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Get to that in just a moment. First, talking about SDFatLoss.com. I know, January was the month of resolutions. Everyone gives up on them after a couple of weeks. I was worried, when I started the SDFatLoss.com program, could I stick with it? I love food, so I thought this could be difficult for me. But honestly, it was the easiest program to stick with that I've ever done to lose weight because it was based on real foods and things that I liked eating. It made such a huge difference for me. I could still look forward to my meals. Yeah, I had to be careful. I had to eat in the right portion sizes and when they said, I should eat, but I still look forward to my meals every single day, and that for me made a huge difference. I was able to lose 40 pounds in 60 days, and I have kept the weight off now for a year and a half, and going strong, feeling great. So many benefits from losing the weight as well. You know what they are. Looking better in the mirror, feeling better, more energy, better sleep, less pain, back pain, knee pain, whatever it is. There's so many benefits to losing the weight, and this is a way you can do it. Just get a free consultation by going to SDFatLoss.com. If you sign up for the program now, take advantage of their February Valentine's Day special. Get $200 off. Follow in these footsteps of so many Tier 1s who didn't want to do the injections, who did not want to buy shakes and bars and mixes. They just wanted to lose weight a real sustainable way. This is it. You can do it. Go to SDFatLoss.com. Sign up for your free consultation at SDFatLoss.com. Heard our good friend Sammy Levitt last night inside San Diego Baseball, Wednesdays, 7 to 9 p.m. He actually started his show talking a little bit about the NBA, which he said, I know that's very bizarre.
It's very
being that I'm a San Diego baseball show.
I would say so. It's very odd.
But he made a good point, and I'll kind of paraphrase here, not trying to put words into his mouth, but I did agree with what he was saying. And the reason why this week has been so big, and we can talk about the NBA trades and stuff, but he was mostly referring to the Luka Doncic trade and how mad Mavericks fans are.
Bro.
And his point was that, part of sports, obviously we all want to win a championship, but we also develop relationships. We fall in love with our favorite players and our stars. And, it's the team's kind of responsibility to at least be careful with those relationships. And Mavs fans feel like they were betrayed by their organization.
I think that's a very fair way to look at it.
And, now the Padres are in a spot right now. I don't think they've done anything to betray their fans. But we're certainly keeping our eye out and making sure that, hopefully that they don't. And just, sometimes you do have to trade star players. That's the reality of professional sports. But can you do it in a way that you don't feel like you're betraying your fans, trust and wishes, and that you still feel like you've got the best interest of your organization at heart when you're making these moves?
So the thing that also crushes you as a Mavs fan is when you hear Rob Pelinka talk about the process and how he says he basically rooked this guy into not pitching Luka Doncic to any other teams so that they could, quote, build a foundation of trust. I mean, this Mavs GM, buddy, you just got worked. Like, you got worked hardcore. So if you're a Mavericks fan, you're going, so our GM is a moron for wanting to get rid of Luka. He's also a rube for believing Rob Pelinka's fast LA slick talking BS. If you're going to trade Luka Doncic, you should have called every other team. I mean, like, what do you got? What do you got? You want a generational superstar? Because I got one. And then you sit back, you let the offers pour in, and you find out which is going to hurt your fan base. They're still going to hurt, but maybe the sting is lessened when you're like, yeah, I got 14 first-round picks in the next 12 years. Right. We also got this guy, and this guy. Relax. Like, we're going to be okay. No. You got AD, which is a good player, as you said, for the next few years. You got one pick in 2029, and you got the other guy.
I was texting
it's
with
insane.
The one Mavericks fan I know. He said yesterday, you just gave up a 25-year-old perennial MVP candidate for a 31-year-old MVP Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Who's pretty much proven he can only last a whole season maybe 3 times in his career. Nico, their GM, is an effing loser. How is it possible? You're the worst GM in your own city when you share a city with Jerry Jones.
It's so true. It's so true.
Oh, man.
People were sitting there saying, yeah, like, you got Jerry and Stephen Jones here, and you're public enemy number one now. Right. Like, how does that happen?
Got some quotes coming out of the MLB owners' meetings and the approval of John Seidler as the new owner. We'll get to those in just a couple of minutes. Right now, though, it is time for our game of Real or Fake.
Some are here for the compelling sports talk with Ben and Woods.
Yeah, you can go plow through another donut.
It's time for Real or Fake on 97.3 The Fan. Tell the people what they'll win today.
Looks like Dan is going to have a chance to win or qualify to win our grand prize trip to Las Vegas to see Motley Crue, their new Las Vegas residency at Dolby Live at Park MGM, March 28th through April 19th. Stay for 2 people, tickets to the show as well. You can get your tickets to Motley Crue, the Las Vegas residency at Dolby Live at Park MGM now at Ticketmaster.com. Dan, good morning. How are you?
Oh, I am so great, gentlemen. Just thrilled about the John Seidler ownership. It's going to be amazing.
I like the enthusiasm.
I think it's sarcasm.
It might be.
Ben, for the love of God.
It's forced optimism.
Forced optimism. I like that.
Sometimes that's the only kind of optimism that you can have.
Just grit your teeth.
This one's pretty straightforward today. The Caesars Superdome in New Orleans will host its record 8th Super Bowl on Sunday when the Chiefs meet the Eagles. But how much do you know about other Super Bowl venues? Today on Real or Fake, I'll name a stadium. You tell me if it's ever a real host of a Super Bowl. Or a fake, a stadium that has never hosted the big game. 4 out of 7 gets you qualified, Dan, and you can ask Woods for as much help as you'd like. You ready to play?
Stadiums that have hosted a Super Bowl.
Yep.
All right.
You ready, Dan?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, round number 1. The Astrodome. The Houston Astrodome. Real or fake Super Bowl site?
This is challenging. I thought, that can't be that difficult, but that is difficult. Woods, what do you got?
I want to say real, but no. Let's go fake.
Gonna go fake. Dan, what do you think?
I agree with Woods. I'm going fake.
Fake, they say. And they're
Yes.
correct. Astrodome never hosted a Super Bowl. All right, that's 1 for you. Round number 2. The Cotton Bowl in Dallas. The Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Real or fake?
Jiminy. Now, Woods is spent time in Dallas.
I'm from there.
So, yeah.
No, I'm going to say fake again. I can't, unless it happened well before my time, man. And Texas Stadium was around for a long, long time. I'd say fake.
I got this like weird, vague memories of the, those old school Super Bowl Vince Lombardi stuff.
Yeah,
and
that could
it's
be.
in the snow, and that's like, where the heck did they do that?
Probably wasn't Dallas.
But I agree with you. We'll go fake.
Oh, you guys good?
Yes.
That's good. That's 2 for 2. All right, round number 3.
He's going to talk himself out of it. I'm like, don't do it.
I know.
The Pontiac Silverdome. The Pontiac Silverdome.
Detroit.
Former home of the Detroit Lions. Yes. Real or fake?
I feel very confident that this is fake because when they had it, in the Ford one, I feel like that was like this, like, what the heck are you guys doing having a Super Bowl in Detroit?
Yeah.
And I feel like it was the first. You with me on that?
I'm with you, man. I say fake.
Fake?
All right,
Is that
fake.
your answer?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, they did have one at Ford Field, but in 1982, the 49ers beat the Bengals at the Pontiac Silverdome outside of Detroit.
Can't
All
believe
right.
you guys forgot that.
Round number 4.
07.
Soldier Field. Soldier Field. Real or fake?
It seems too real, so it's probably fake.
Way.
There's no way. Too cold.
No way, right?
Fake.
Gotta be like, why are they playing a Super Bowl in the worst place in the world? Weather-wise, that's not a dome.
Yeah, fake.
Gotta be fake.
Too cold.
Yeah,
Never had it in Chicago.
But
all right,
cold.
that's we need one more here. All right, the Edward Jones Dome.
Where's that?
Real or fake? It's where the Rams used to play in St. Louis. Edward Jones Dome. Real or fake?
Oh. Huh. Greatest show on turf, right? Was that did they actually play their one of their Super Bowls in the home field?
I'm
that doesn't make
clueless.
sense.
I'm clueless. He's been on a fake tip though. I don't know. Let's say real.
Jeez.
Let's say real.
All right, let's do it. Real.
Real.
Damn it, son of a...
Never had it in St. Louis, even though it was indoors. All right, here we go. Round number 6. Rice Stadium.
In Houston.
In Houston. Very good, Woods. Rice Stadium.
No idea.
No, fake.
No, fake.
Fake.
Yep.
For the win.
Son
No.
of a-
1974 Dolphins over the Vikings.
Oh
at
boy.
Rice
Are we
Stadium.
game 7 here?
Game 7. Here
Oh,
we go
God.
for all the marbles. Sun Devil Stadium. Sun Devil Stadium.
Oh, he's getting tricky with us.
I mean, that's obvious where that one is.
Yeah.
Tempe, Arizona.
Tempe.
Sun Devil Stadium.
It's real.
But there's no. Why? I hate you. I hate you, Ben.
Yeah, we all do. It's fine. It's real. It's real. I feel it.
You think so?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going with you. I trust you. I trust you.
Cowboys.
My life is my motley crew life is in your hands.
Let's go.
I'm going to say real.
Cowboys is
Yeah,
right.
buddy!
The last Cowboys Super Bowl win over the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1996. Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe. Very good. Dan, stay on the line. Paul will get your information, put you into the drawing for Las Vegas.
There it is.
get tickets again. Ticketmaster.com, baby.
Sign me up. All about it.
All right, I've got those. I've got some quotes emerging from the MLB owners' meetings. We can get to that. And the Dodgers are so committed to this bit.
I hate it.
This off-season
so
bit. I mean, my goodness. What are they going to do this year, though? They can't go this route again. We'll get to that coming up next year with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, I haven't seen them, so you're gonna have to read them to me.
Just a couple
like
of we had the breaking news this morning that John Seidler has been approved as control person of the San Diego Padres in a vote of MLB owners. This is coming from Kevin Acee, who's in Palm Beach, Florida, covering it for the UT. It does point out that officially the transfer of power won't occur until John Seidler is made the trustee of Peter Seidler's trust. That paperwork is expected to take about 30 days.
Okay.
So he's not really the control person yet, but in about a month, which will be, 3 weeks into spring training, then he'll officially be the control person. But for now, it technically is still Eric Katsenda. Now, AC writes that this was
like, get me out of here.
This was
30
not
days, 34 days.
This was not a hotly debated item at the meeting. And here's a quote from Ken Kendrick, who is the owner of the Arizona Diamondbacks, said of John Seidler, his family holds the biggest portion of ownership in the team, and Peter's ownership was left in a trust, and John now will be made the trustee. Therefore, it's automatic, really. John is a good man, and of course, we all loved Peter. I think this is what Peter wanted. That's what Ken Kendrick said, and sounds like that was the general consensus of ownership, that they feel like this is what Peter wanted. And thus they approved it without really any pushback from anybody, despite the ongoing lawsuit from Sheel Seidler. So, maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, and we'll find out, more as the lawsuit progresses. But as far as Major League Baseball owners are concerned, this is what Peter wanted. They feel like John's a good person to be operating the Padres going forward. One other note here at the end, and that's the only direct quote, but AC writes that John Seidler is not at the owners' meeting, so he didn't even need to show up and argue his case or anything. It was that foregone of a conclusion that he's not even there. He was not available for comment, and the Padres cited concerns over the lawsuit and the pending nature of Seidler's appointment as a reason for his not speaking.
So this could lead to just more, murkiness, more waiting, more non-action, non-speak? Is that what we are to infer?
I mean, you wonder how long they can point to that, because the likelihood is that the lawsuit's not going to be settled anytime soon. So, in 3 years, are they still going to be saying, well, we still have this lawsuit, so we're not going to have John speak at all?
Well,
Adam Klug came in, we were talking about this during the break. There are owners that you never hear from. There are companies that own teams.
Well, okay.
And you really never hear from
them
at all.
Stuff
not when this happens, right? This is it's an extenuating. We've been fortunate here since at least we started covering the team, Benny. I don't know how it was. I don't know how often Morad or any of those guys.
Spoke a lot when he was the owner. Yeah.
Ron had no problem speaking. Couldn't keep Ron from speaking sometimes. I love that, man. And Peter obviously would talk a lot and would say, and both of them would do what they said they were going to do. They really did. And so I think it's not the Mariners in that they're owned by some big conglomeration. Now, if Nintendo went bankrupt and they had to sell the Mariners, I think Mariners fans will be like, yeah, okay, now we want to hear from the next guy because we haven't heard from these dudes. We don't hear from this conglomerate every single year. This is an extenuating circumstance. Now, you're going to have 30 teams. You're going to have 30 owners that all do things differently. But I think when it comes down to the uncertainty around our organization here, especially for the fans that are going to want to know, I do think it's important, as soon as possible that someone speak. And this lawsuit,
you usually see it the first week of spring training.
Well, yeah, and this lawsuit is, I don't want to say is it an easier out for them? Nope, we're in pending litigation, so I'm not going to say anything. I think it could be.
That plus the fact that John Seidler technically won't take over for
30 days.
30 days.
Yeah.
I mean, the Padres, at least in recent history, have always had the team owner, Eric Grupner, standing there on the patio in Peoria. They do it the first couple of days of spring training. That's going to fall in that 30-day period. Is it still technically Katsenda? Is he going to show up and talk?
Now, if they sold
John Seidler impending, is he going to come in?
If they sold the team to Steve Ballmer today, right? 30 days, we got paperwork, but it's been approved by Major League Baseball. Steve Ballmer is on this radio station tomorrow.
Probably, yeah.
Period, the end, right? Like, you know that. You know that it's happening. So, again, don't know that we have a lot of clarity on this yet. We will provide it to you when we ourselves get it. I did get a text back from our St. Louis Cardinal insider.
Oh, you did?
By the way, if you want to hear that. Had seen it yesterday, a tiny little bit of smoke about Nolan Arenado potentially being a fit for the San Diego Padres. We kicked it around, kicked it around the neighborhood. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but I said, any truth to the Nolan to San Diego smoke I saw on Twitter yesterday? She said, no, LOL.
No, LOL.
She said, Padres are a popular what-if team to float out because he would approve a trade there, but there's been no convos about him from their end. I said, this is why you're the GOAT. She said, I do what I can to help the club. Both clubs.
Yeah, logic prevails in this instance.
Exactly.
Didn't feel like there was a pathway for Nolan Arenado to join the Padres, but you saw it, so you checked.
Yeah,
did your legwork, and now we can pass that along from a true insider.
Also, another I would say fairly big story that came out of the winter or the owners' meetings. Bill Shaken just tweets: MLB owners have elevated A's owner, John Fisher, to their executive committee, Rob Manfred said. I mean, who deserves it more than John Fisher? Who deserves a promotion, as it were, more than John Fisher? This is about as corrupt as it gets as it pertains to Major League Baseball.
It's definitely not a great look.
It's a horrible look
for Major League Baseball to do that.
How are you feeling in Oakland this morning? React to me, Oakland. It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever.
I got a new piece.
You got a problem.
New piece in The Athletic as well about John Seidler's approval for Major League Baseball from Dennis Lin. And apparently Rob Manfred has said he does not believe the Padres will be sold. He believes that they will
Who said this?
Rob Manfred.
Rob Manfred.
Believes the Padres will remain.
Rob Manfred, the guy that just promoted John Fisher?
Yes.
Okay.
That,
so I'll make sure you're the same Rob Manfred.
Believes that the Padres will stay with the Seidler family going forward, and that they're definitely not leaving San Diego.
Okay,
so, I also agree with that. Right. They're not going anywhere. But just because because Rob Manfred says it doesn't mean it's true. But that's his response to the approval of John Seidler as the new control person.
That doesn't make any sense, John Fisher. It's going to stick in my craw for the rest of the day. I don't understand it. That is, again, if you're just talking about optics, the optics of that are beyond horrible. Beyond.
From an owner's perspective, John Fisher has somehow wedged his way into the Las Vegas market.
Not yet.
Desirable with a new stadium on the way,
supposedly.
And that's probably going to serve him quite well. So
by that logic, we elevate him to the executive committee. We get him all set up in Las Vegas. We have control over him. We're scratching his back. He's going to scratch ours in the long run. I mean, it really is about as corrupt as it gets.
Yeah,
there's no chance. There's no good logic that Rob Manfred could tell me why that man deserves essentially a promotion.
Like Goodell and the NFL owners promoting Dean Spanos to their executive board.
Which he very well may be. I have no idea, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
All right, we're going to check traffic. When we come back, yet another Dodgers player has appeared on a podcast to talk about the San Diego Padres.
I don't get it, dude.
And we will get to that next on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danek.
Couple problems in the North County. Crash on southbound 5 at the East 76 connector ramp. Some debris reported in the roadway. Westbound 78 for El Camino Real. And now a crash on eastbound 56 near Black Mountain Road. Those vehicles are in the center divide. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so this time it was Miguel Rojas appearing on the Chris Rose rotation. Love Chris Rose. So, but somehow this offseason, anytime a member of the Dodgers speaks, the topic always turns to the playoffs, the series against the Padres, and they almost always have the same take every single time. Every member of the Dodgers. And here's what Miguel
They
Rowe.
had 2 more series after that.
Yeah.
NLDS.
Yeah.
More important series, by
Yes,
the way.
yes.
And yet, all they're being asked is the NLDS.
Yep.
I hate this so much. So much.
I think everybody in that clubhouse knew that we didn't have the best team last year.
Hold on, you don't think you had the best team last year?
No. If you put the both teams, if you put the Padres and the Dodgers on paper, we didn't have the advantage on that series. Remember, we have a broken Freddie Freeman on literally one ankle. We have 3 starters. Walker Buehler have a 7 ERA in the regular season, and you don't know how he was going to perform. And then you have 2 starters, 1 rookie, which is Yamamoto, never pitched in that moment before, and Jack Flaherty, who came from another organization, who knows how many pitches he got left to go through the postseason. And then a bunch of dogs in that bullpen that saved us, and a bunch of guys that were ready to play, like Kike Hernandez was the best example. He said to me, this is the moment that they got me here for. So let me take it. Let me take over from now, you know? Tommy Edman, the same way. Tommy Edman didn't play for how many months to start the season? 4 months. He made his debut this year in July. That's why this team was special, not just because the talent. If you think about it, you have 3 starters and you don't have all the stuff that we have right now. What I'm saying is we won because we were a team who showed character and we were ready to play.
The underdog narrative. And I railed against it last year. Now, listen, what screwed the Padres was people on The Athletic. People from The Athletic picking the Padres, wanting to be, okay, well, I got in an argument. Carlo Cicchetto from Channel 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. Carlo and I went 75 rounds. We went, it was like Ali Frazier on Twitter every night. Me and him going at each other. He's a Dodger fan. And he was bound and determined to push the underdog narrative. Nobody believes in us. Nobody. Again, you never were the Rays, right? You weren't the Rays. You spent $1 billion in the offseason for 2 players, right? And one of those players ran away with the MVP. You had a top of the lineup, Ben, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and on we go. Did they have some brilliant performances out of their bullpen? Yeah. Did the bullpen save them tremendously? Absolutely. It's also a very high-priced bullpen. These weren't guys that they picked up off the scrap heap. These were superstar studs in the bullpen. Yeah, you had 3 starting pitchers, but you have an elite bullpen. You can do that to get through a playoff series or a World Series. Vegas had them picked as the favorites all season long. Them being bound and determined to jam this underdog narrative, and maybe that's just how they felt. I think it's misguided. I think it's dumb. You're the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with anything that he said.
I don't either.
If I had to push game to shove, I think the Padres were a better team than the Dodgers. And, they just ran into a cold couple of days. I think, though, that the fact that we keep hearing it over and over again, you can use that to motivate yourself. Why do they keep bringing it back, though?
6 months later, right? It makes no sense.
And I think this is a backlash to everybody criticizing them this offseason.
Yeah, it could be.
For all the moves that they've made, that they want to lean into that, like, hey, we didn't feel that confident last year. It's okay that we've gone out and make some moves because we didn't have that. We didn't actually have that last year. So now we're trying to build it up this year. I feel like it's a psychological reaction to everybody criticizing their offseason. And why you won the World Series. Why are you going out and spending more than every other team after you already won a World Series? And they keep trying to explain, we didn't think we had that great of a team at the end of last year. We happened to win a World Series because, hey, yeah, we played great and we're clutch and it came together. But they're trying to basically show everybody, no, it's okay that we're doing this because we weren't really in great shape.
We didn't have that.
We didn't think we had it.
I don't know, man. And when you talk about character, I don't know that I'll ever get over their manager, planting a question in a press conference, having an article written about something as innocuous as what Manny did. That doesn't show great character as far as I'm concerned. And then admitting later, yeah, I made it up. That's not character. It's the opposite of character. I can't wait to ask Manny about it. I don't know if he's going to answer at spring training, but it's one of my first questions.
Go Dave Roberts.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. That doesn't scream character to me. to be honest. But yeah, man, Freddie Freeman on one leg, still pretty damn good, as he showed you.
Now, I don't know, his character or his clutch is a different thing, though. Clutch
with Freddie.
No, but being a clutch team doesn't mean you have character.
Let's not pretend that they didn't get extremely lucky too. Aaron Judge doesn't drop fly balls. Anthony Rizzo knows how to charge a swinging bunt. You know what I mean? Like, you get lucky, but they earned it. There's no question they earned it. They battled hard, fought hard. But it is weird, man. It's still talking about this 6 months later, 5 months later.
All right, biggest fan, final hour of Bennett Woods coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. All right, I'd have a response here from Sheel Seidler's attorney via Dennis Lynn on MLB approving John Seidler as the new control person for the Padres. Quote, "This was merely a pro forma decision that we expected from MLB. It was not a comment on the merits of Sheel's lawsuit, which has just begun and which we believe will protect the team and Peter's legacy for years to come." Sounds like everybody agrees it was a pro forma decision.
You're looking at me.
Yeah.
Are you going to ask me to define pro forma?
How about a fait accompli?
A fait accompli. A foregone conclusion.
This was a foregone conclusion. Even MLB seems to agree. John Seidler wasn't even there. Owners were unanimous. Didn't seem to have any controversy about it. Even Sheel Seidler's attorneys go, this was always going to happen. Not a big deal is basically what everybody is saying about the change of ownership for the San Diego Padres. Feels like a big deal, but everybody in the know is telling us it's not really a big deal. This was just pro forma.
Okay. Well, I pro forma expect somebody to speak soon at some point.
Don't hold your breath. We have other baseball news that we haven't gotten to as well. First, though, it is time, 9 o'clock, to announce today's biggest fan. If you hear your name called, give us a call back in the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973 to qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in the Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season. Remember, register your name at 973thefan, sd.com/biggestfan. And maybe you'll hear it called either at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., or 5:30 p.m. Today, it's Amy Scarborough from San Diego. Amy Scarborough, you've got 10 minutes to call us at 833-288-0973 and qualify for the grand prize drawing. Yeah, 3 hours in, I don't think, other than maybe a quick mention, we talked about the big baseball news last night, and that is the New York Mets reaching contract terms with Pete Alonso after a very drawn-out process. Pete Alonso will return to the New York Mets. It's technically a one-year deal with, I think, an option or an opt-out at the end of the first year. Pete will get $30 million this year. I think it's a $10 million signing bonus and a $20 million salary. And then he's got an option for $24 million next year. So technically 2 years, $54 million. But if he has a good year, he could become a free agent again at the end of 2025 and go through this whole process again. But he was one of the guys who did not find a lot of interest, at least for long-term deals at high price points for his services on the open market.
Somebody made the comparison yesterday. I think it might have been Chris Rose talking about how first basemen are the running backs of the NFL. And I went, oh, yeah. Till you get to the Super Bowl and you're happy you invested in a running back like Saquon Barkley. I think the same can be said, for a first baseman. If you have somebody that is a cornerstone player, I think, like Pete Alonso is, I think he's 36 homers away from being the all-time Mets leader in home runs. Yeah, man, I think it's a no-brainer. If you're the Mets and you're Steve Cohen, you got to get that done. Bob Nightingale tweets, obviously, he was offered $371
by the Mets.
He took $254 with an opt-out after 25. But he also turned down $100 million more 2 years ago to return to the Mets.
7 years, $158 million offered back in 2023.
By the Mets
for extension.
Wow. Okay.
Sounds like probably should have taken that deal.
That is one that may stick in his craw for a while.
Now, Alonso didn't have, he hits home runs, didn't have a great season.
Didn't have a great year.
Had a big postseason that helped, make Mets fans decide that they wanted to keep him. Ultimately, though, the Mets add another good player to a team that now has Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, and Pete Alonso is kind of a big three. Yeah. And they're clearly, I would say, the silver medalists now of the offseason. If the Dodgers are the runaway offseason winners, well, the Mets are right there as number two. They got Juan Soto. Now they've got Pete Alonso back. They're not anywhere near, I think, the level of the Dodgers, but those two big market teams have had the best off seasons in baseball, and I think it's pretty clear. And both are now fairly heavy favorites to go to the postseason and maybe even meet each other again, as they did in the NLCS last year.
Yeah, I think if you're a Met fan, you're ecstatic today. You're ecstatic because before this, it was, hey, Mark Vientos and hey, Brett Beatty, go get a new first baseman's mitt, bring it to spring training, and we're going to see what we can do. Now you're going to have to find ABs for one of those guys, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. If you're a Met fan, you're pretty elated to have Pete Alonso back and ready to hit homers and have Juan Soto hitting in front of him. And it's a great move for the New York Mets. You have to be elated if you're a Met fan.
Does that turn one of those guys into a trade candidate, possibly?
I don't know.
Teams looking for
Beatty or
lineup
Vientos.
options.
I don't think they move Vientos for anything.
I don't think they move Vientos for sure.
But yeah, I think anything's on the table right now. Basically, one huge free agent left out there in Alex Bregman. You don't want to be the last guy, man. Pitchers and catchers here in a couple weeks.
A couple other bottom top 50 guys. Nick Pivetta is still out there.
There's still some arms out there
as a pitcher. There's definitely a couple of guys available, and there's still dozens and dozens and dozens of veterans who haven't signed contracts yet, but they're all on the bottom end of the scale. Looking for a job when spring training starts and starting to feel the pinch of like, all right, well, kind of if I want to play, I better sign somewhere. So their price tag's coming down. But yeah, Pete Alonso back with the Mets, and not surprising necessarily. I mean, you heard the comments from Steve Cohen where, hey, we hear what he's asking for, and we just don't think it's anywhere in the realm of being realistic or feasible. Clearly, he won that argument because while $30 million is a big deal, that's 1 year. And again, no bad 1 year deals, essentially. So they're not committing long-term money to Pete Alonso that they feel like if he has a bad season this year, maybe he opts in for 24, but they're not saddling themselves for a decade of Pete Alonso.
10-year contract. Adam in the chat, our beloved Adam Klug, says, how badly does Alonso regret turning down that 160 from the Mets? Yes, but he's also playing with a guy that turned down 440 from the Washington Nationals. Now, I know he's got a few years on Juan Soto, but remember many times, I saw it from our fan base a lot, 440 from the Nationals, and you turned it down? How'd that work out for that kid?
And if
$300 million more.
If Pete Alonso has a really good season, could opt out and get a big deal next year. Blake Snell went that route, short-term deal, and then hit the free agent market again 1 year later. It worked out just fine for him. Am I less optimistic that Pete Alonso is going to still cash in? Probably, but there's a possibility that this ends up being a really smart move for Pete Alonso. He gets a big payday this year of $30 million, and then can sign another giant contract next season if he has a good year with the Mets.
Yep, no doubt.
And by the way, plenty of lineup protection.
Yes, they're going to be
around him. Plenty of RBI opportunities.
Formidable team, my friend. Very formidable team.
He could end up having a good season.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, that is interesting as the West is out here. The East is going to be nasty in the NL as well, with the Phillies, the Braves, and the Mets. And I talked to John Marks yesterday from Philadelphia, and he's like, I mean, we haven't done a lot. We shored up some pitching, and we lost some guys in the bullpen, but how have the Phillies improved themselves, Ben, to be able to compete with those two teams? I feel like the Phillies and the Padres are kind of in that same mode, right? Got a couple of guys that are really, really good and boom or bust, and getting another year, another notch on the belt as far as age goes with guys like Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. I mean, there's a lot of similarities there. Castellanos and Schwarber. I mean, he's going to hit 45 home runs, but he's going to hit 200 for you. They're an interesting team to watch, too. They have not done what a lot of people thought they would, especially with who they have at the helm. Dave Dombrowski's not a guy that sits on his hands a lot. He's just not.
Like A.J. Preller. A fairly quiet offseason.
It's been pretty quiet for that.
Had made the trade for Jesus Luzardo, banking on him to bounce back from injury, and they added Max Kepler on a pretty small, I think it was a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah. And he's, I mean, is he going to play 50 games? Is he going to play 100 games? What do you know? What do you think about Max Kepler? So who knows?
So, yeah, the other baseball news, mentioned it this morning, Tommy Pham signs a deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So another option for a Padres outfielder off the board if they were ever interested. We don't know. There was never any stated interest by the Padres in Tommy Pham, but he is now going to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And one other story, and I haven't really been following this drama, but the Angels extended their lease at Angels Stadium through 2032. I know there's been some controversy about potential new stadium in Anaheim. Just doesn't feel like that's been a very well-run organization.
No, I haven't heard much about that either. I saw they extended their lease yesterday. That's about the extent that I cared. Oh, congrats. staying in Angel Stadium. Great. I haven't heard anything about a new stadium there.
There had been like a controversy that actually took down some like local politicians about some land, and then that all got undone. But yeah, I don't think the Angels are going anywhere, so they're just kind of again sitting there as the far younger sibling in the Los Angeles market to the LA Dodgers.
Yeah.
It almost seems like they're not even in the same market.
No, definitely.
They're called Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Angels, yet they feel like they couldn't be more further away from the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Shohei was in Los Angeles with the Angels. You heard about him, but you didn't hear about him like you hear about him now.
I mean, literally,
right?
it's about, 20, 30 miles?
Yeah.
It's not. It's like the
far.
difference between, Oceanside and downtown.
I know.
It's not that big, yet it just is worlds apart.
Yes, indeed.
Of those teams.
Yep. All the Japanese sponsors, the people in Japan that are spending all this money with the Dodgers, they're like, we could have, but it's 25 miles is just too far. Like it's crazy how the Angels fumbled that. It just really is.
So that
needs to be studied.
That was all the baseball news from this morning. We still need to get to some of the basketball news. We've got a little bit of it. We have pushed back Don't Do This. We're going to have that for you coming up in our next segment here in just a couple of minutes, including how the news of the Jimmy Butler trade was broken to members of the Miami Heat, which was kind of funny yesterday during all the drama that was playing out as we approached the NBA trade deadline. First, though,
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. GEGE 000-466.
Talking about 7 Mile Casino, it's San Diego's closest and best card room. It is a quick drive. If you're in downtown, hop on the 5 freeway, head down the 5 toward Chula Vista. You're getting off, and in 7 minutes, you are pulling into a parking spot. You are walking in, and the tables are right in front of you. It's easy, it's convenient, it's upscale, it's fun.
Well, that and 7 minutes will get you there, and then about 1 minute to walk in, and then about 30 seconds later, you're sitting down playing California-style blackjack. You're ordering off the Players Club menu, Ben. Delicious food, smoke-free environment, no slot machines ringing in your ears. Great place to play. Got a killer outdoor patio as well. Place you can go out and hang out with your friends, watch a game, just hang out. It's a fantastic place. Obviously, the proximity is what makes it the best, just 7 minutes away.
Weekends coming up. Don't forget, they offer a Saturday and Sunday brunch that has been voted best in the South County. 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays. It's a phenomenal menu. It's the only Sammy's that does this. So if you're looking for a brunch spot in the area, that's a great option for you as well.
Check it out for yourself, my friends. Make the very short drive down the 5 to 7 Mile Casino, just 7 minutes from downtown.
A little different time for Don't Do This morning. It is brought to you by Trust and Will. Don't leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die. Do set up a trust or will online at trustandwill.com. It's a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info. And I'll start in college football with a story that, if true, makes LSU head coach Brian Kelly look just horrible.
Worse.
Now he denies
family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of Louisiana, but more importantly, to be with you great fans.
It's been, 3 years now?
Never
minimum since that happened?
Never.
I'll still play it anytime that man is referenced.
Yep.
So the family of former LSU safety Greg Brooks Jr. is currently in a dispute with the school. Brooks, when he was playing for the Tigers, complained to the training staff that he felt like something was wrong. They didn't really find anything. They said, hey, keep going out and practicing. Well, it turned out he had a tumor in his brain, and they finally found it, and then he ended up having surgery. Obviously, the surgery was difficult. He had multiple strokes during the surgery, suffered neurological injuries. He's had to relearn how to write and read and talk and everything. His dad went on Good Morning America and said that they haven't heard word one from Brian Kelly. Since he left the program, had his surgery, he has just gotten forgotten, was lost. Oh, we can't help us anymore. Yeah, we're done with you. Now, Kelly has come back and goes, that's completely not true. He said, I had someone from my staff there virtually every day with Greg as he was getting ready for his surgery and during his recovery. Just says it's completely factually incorrect. Says I can't say some things because there's pending litigation, but he says we love Greg. We love him for the person that he is, for the competitor that he is, the battler that he is. We only wish him continued progress as he goes through an incredibly difficult time. But it's a weird, ugly and weird story.
It's a weird accusation. But why would you make it up? If you're the parents of this kid, why would you say we've never heard from Coach Kelly? And then Coach Kelly comes out and says, well, I had somebody there every day. Well, that's not what they're saying. They're saying they haven't heard from you at all, right? If you're parsing that out, I sent a representative every single day. Well, we're not saying that. We're saying that we never heard from you, the coach.
The quote from the dad was specifically Brian Kelly. My son almost lost his life. Coach, where were you? Forget about football. Pick up the phone and say you love the kid.
Not hard.
Man.
Not hard to do, man.
And Kelly says, you can question me as a football coach, you can question me things we do on the field, but off the field, as a parent, a husband, as someone who's actively involved in every community I've been involved with, this is where I draw the line for me. That comment struck a nerve with me. It hit my heart.
Yeah, it would.
I'm in this business for my players, and it rattled me that someone could possibly be so factually incorrect in stating that I was not part of Greg Brooks Jr.'s care and support.
Pretty easy thing to prove.
Really,
I would
two
imagine.
Very different perspectives here.
I think you couldn't get more ass and opposite of two perspectives. I called. You didn't. But I did. No, you didn't.
Here's my phone log.
That's wild. It's a wild. Yeah, I don't even know how to feel about it. I feel terrible for the kid, obviously. But if it's not true, I feel bad for Coach Kelly. If he actually did, and that seems to be something that a big-time, well-paid football coach would do.
Yeah.
I would imagine. I've talked many times about the younger generation. I'm 49. We'll be 50 in July. Definitely committed my fair share of, I guess, crimes when I was younger. What I didn't do, Ben, is I didn't take pictures of myself as I was committing said crimes. And there's something about this newer generation, probably the advent of, cameras everywhere. But remember the Joe Burrow break-in? Broke in, stole some chains, stole some cash, whatever.
Yeah, part of a string of athlete home break-ins.
Yep. Well, at least one of the three suspects charged in connection to the Joe Burrow burglary appeared to love what they made off with, as new photos show a man draped in several chains belonging to Joe Burrow for a photo op prior to his arrest. The FBI provided an update this week. They said Jordan Sanchez, 22, Bastian Morales, 23, and Sergio Cabello, 38, were all indicted for transporting stolen goods interstate, falsifying records. They show some pictures of these dudes. There's four guys. They are wearing the chains. They're holding up cash. that they've stolen from the house. They have them all laid out on a table of all the booty that they
like
stole.
The FBI would do?
Like the FBI would do.
Evidence?
Which is incredible. They were stopped, and according to officials, Cabello started deleting incriminating pics from his phone, including snaps of Burrow's jewelry and the back of his house. Pictures of them in the home, essentially, and stealing them. So, again...
It's in the cloud. You're never getting rid of it.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. So, again, I'm not saying commit crimes, but I'm saying if you do commit crimes, you may not want to leave breadcrumbs of evidence. You know, like you wearing the stolen goods. It's just a thought. If I was teaching a class on how to be a criminal, the first lesson would be, all right, dummies, leave your phone nowhere near your crime scene. You don't want to take pictures. You don't want to get tracked, right? That's the first day of school. Woods' crime school.
Well, we talked
Welcome
about this.
to class. Everyone's goal here: don't get caught.
Don't get
when
caught.
you steal something like a
pictures.
championship ring, it's going to be really hard.
It's hard to fence, just like a Joe Burrow 9 chain.
How did you come about that ring? Oh no, this isn't the stolen one. This is another one. Yeah, he only has one.
It's just insane.
All right, finally, a little do this for a Thursday.
DD Mega Do-Do.
And we're going to call this do this just because I thought it was funny. Obviously, more trades yesterday as the craziest week in NBA history continues. The biggest one was Jimmy Butler finding a new home with the Golden State Warriors in a multi-team, super complicated mega deal. Andrew Wiggins and Dennis Schroeder, part of the package. We talked about Dennis Schroeder and Don't Do This yesterday. Doesn't like being traded. He ends up with the Utah Jazz. Ouch. But while the trade was going on, obviously Jimmy Butler isn't with the Miami Heat. He was in San Diego this past weekend at his house in Poway. But the Heat were playing at the Philadelphia 76ers as this news is breaking. And there's a video that's come out showing a fan who's sitting right behind the bench for the Miami Heat, like telling the players on the bench, here's what's going down, and then filming it. Here's some of the audio.
Got Kyle Anderson, Dennis Schroeder, and Andrew Wiggins.
They're all...
We robbed them. First round pick, protected.
They're all leaning back.
They're leaning back, looking over their shoulder. It's fantastic.
No,
all the players are like, what? Who do we get?
It's legit. And then Butler, of course, went out and immediately signed a new 2-year contract extension with the Warriors, even though he threatened not to earlier this week. I guess didn't find any other takers. So he's going to be paired with Steph Curry and Draymond Green as their new big three.
2 years, 121.
Yep. I mean, do they have enough left in the tank? They're good players. I mean, championship pedigrees, all of them.
Somebody texted me yesterday, and they said, is the NBA, out of the major sports, right, the 4 big ones, I guess, is the NBA the only league where if you stomp your feet loud enough, they'll move you? Like, if you really don't want to be somewhere, is that probably, if you're an NBA player, is it the easiest to force a trade, do you think?
NFL
I think
players
it's the
hold out
easiest.
all the time.
Holding out is different than I'm
Myles
walking away
Garrett's
from...
demanded a trade.
Demanding a trade.
Yeah.
I'm walking away from the team. I'm not going to play.
I mean, holding out is stomping your feet.
Well, I mean, holding out for a different contract is one thing. Like, you're not paying me what I'm worth, right? That's different than I'm here. I signed an extension. I signed a huge extension, and now I changed my mind. Is it the easiest of the 4 to say, all right, I'm going to pitch a fit until I get my way?
Feels like it.
Yeah.
I will agree with that. Definitely feels like it. Also had the Lakers pull off another trade yesterday to acquire that center that they needed so badly. They get Mark Williams from the Charlotte Hornets, 7-footer, young, 23, so a guy that could play with Luka for a long time from Duke. So J.J. Redick already knows him, was kind of a mentor.
Nice.
See how that works. They had to give up the rest of their really valued stuff. Dalton Knecht, who I really like, Cam Reddish, and a 2031 unprotected first-round draft pick. So they've pretty much spent everything, and they've put together what they think is now the now with LeBron, Luka, Mark Williams, Austin Reeves, and then after LeBron's gone, you still have those young guys who are the new core of the team.
Is Bronny still up with the team right now?
Back and forth.
He was, going back and forth. He hit a 3-pointer for the first time in his career the other night.
Yeah, Schrader ended up going to Utah? Yeah, that's right.
It was first he was going to Toronto.
No, it's
and then
a very complicated
something fell
deal.
through, and then like, actually you're going to Utah, and this guy's going to Toronto.
I mean, all these
mess.
things, like if you're in the first apron of the salary cap or the second apron, it depends on like who you can actually acquire at the deadline or whether you can take on money. So you need to bring in other teams to make the finances work. There's nothing more complicated in sports than the NBA's salary cap rules and how to get around them at trade deadline time.
Quickly, who's the better team now post trades? Is it the Warriors or the Lakers?
I'll go with the Lakers. Yeah.
Homer.
Well, I mean, Mark Williams is good. He's injury prone. And if he plays, averaging like 19 points, 10 rebounds a game, can do that, lob thing with Luka, could be a perfect guy. Is he going to be on the court? I don't know. But all the Warriors players are old. I mean, Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler are nearing the ends of their careers. The Lakers just got a couple of players in their early 20s.
Yeah.
Not only good now, but like good for moving forward in the future as well. Let's don't and do this for Thursday.
And Lakers
that
talk.
was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Now everybody's just waiting to see if Kevin Durant gets moved.
It's the last big piece.
Deadline
you got 2.5
today?
hours. Yeah,
Okay.
2.5 hours from now. If the Suns decide to do something big or not is the last thing. Let's see. Paulie, Reindl Report?
A wild conspiracy theory about a long time, haven't been seen in a long time, I should say, McDonald's character.
Ooh.
The Hamburglar.
I hope it's the Hamburglar.
I do too.
Uncle O'Grimacy. Tell you all about him next.
All right.
Oh, never even heard of him. All right, the big game is almost here. It's now or never. Do not miss out on the last football game of the season with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the big game. Prize Picks is also giving away a free pick for the big game. Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw for 1 yard to win. And if you're correct on at least one more stat projection, you win real money. That's how it works. You're making a daily fantasy lineup. So between 2 and 6 players, picking their stat projections more or less. You can win up to 1,000 times your cash running your game all season long with Prize Picks. There is over 10 million members, so this is common. This is what people are doing. It's legal in 30 states, including California. Billions of dollars in awarded winnings. I have taken my share of some of those winnings during football season as well. You can too. Prize Picks invented the flex play. You can cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect, like 3 out of 4. Fine. Go ahead and secure your winnings that way. It's easy to play. Just download the app at prizepicks.com. When you do, make sure you use the code KWFN because you're going to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Join me. Get $50 instantly with your first $5 lineup using the code KWFN when you go to prizepicks.com. Set your lineup for the big game, and then you can turn your attention to pro and college basketball. Golf this weekend. You've got so many options with Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. The Slam Dunk in Vegas National Contest is your chance at the ultimate trip to Las Vegas. All you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, and listen to 97.3 The Fan for at least 1 hour to earn your daily entry into our national contest. The grand prize is travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premium sports viewing destination, where you can watch the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim, plus $20,000 in cash.
Amazing.
Heard Braden talking about his trip to Vegas and Stadium Swim.
Oh, he went?
Yeah.
How'd it
Says
go?
they can get you for the, they have like especially like busy times, like the opening weekend of the college basketball tournament. They'll get you like a $3,000 food and beverage minimum to like reserve like one of the pools.
Like the cabanas.
Like a cabana,
yeah,
like a pool.
Cabana life is different.
But
different
they
world.
make it easy, he said, to hit the $3,000 minimum by charging like $100 for chicken fingers.
Yeah, yeah.
You get there actually fairly quickly.
Crush it.
It's not as hard as you'd imagine.
I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, we were in Phoenix. We were in Scottsdale when the Super Bowl was at the Glendale Stadium. So in the city, every bar, same kind of thing. It was like reserving a table at a nightclub just to watch the football game.
Yeah, at a sports bar.
And they were like, oh, it's $1,000 minimum. I think it was per seat at the bar top because it was so crowded. And we're like, whatever. We're already here. It's not going to get any easier. We were like kind of doing the math, the people in our group. And you're like, it ends up being like $100 a person.
I think he said a 6-pack of Liquid Death was $86. So, which sounds great until you realize that Liquid Death is water.
Canned water, by the way.
Water. Yeah. $14 for a can of
water. And water in a can, it's not great. It's not great.
Eco water.
They did it at they do it at some concerts, and I don't know maybe it's just their sponsor, but there was something about, they didn't want you throwing bottles and stuff on stage. It's like, all right, well, I'm not going to throw this Dasani bottle, but I can throw this Liquid Death can if I wanted to. I don't really know. I don't know the right answer here, buddy.
All right. Well, I mean, you don't have to reserve a cabana when you go to Vegas. There are still cheaper options.
I had one of the wildest days of my entire life in a cabana.
Did you?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I kind of want the story.
I can't tell it.
You can't tell. You can't tell it.
Next for a bachelor party. I can't tell it.
Next member stream, perhaps. Perhaps. I'm looking forward to our next member stream later this month.
Let your imagination run wild. It was the nuttiest. I was like, one of those where you wake up the next day, you're like, I'm just gonna forget about that. I'm just gonna forget about it.
Can you tell us what property it was at?
It was at the Cosmopolitan.
My God.
Vegas. My God.
My imagination is now running wild.
Never seen anything like it.
I'm in a happy place. Okay, let's check traffic, and then Paulie's going to give us some final headlines today with our Reindl Report.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danek.
Wrapping up our morning drive with a couple of problems in the North County. South 5 coastline near Leucadia. Got a crash involving a couple vehicles. It's over to the right shoulder. And an accident on northbound 15 past Poway Roads, blocking the slow lane. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Paulie.
We will start off in Major League Baseball. I don't know that we actually talked about it on the air, but I know we all saw it. Did you guys see the Dodgers promotional schedule that came out? World Series rings and World Series bobbleheads or whatever, all scheduled back to back to back when the Padres visit. In June, I believe it was.
Blake Snell bobblehead.
Yeah, Blake Snell bobblehead.
Blake Snell bobblehead, commemorative World Series trophy. And there was
a ring?
I don't think it's the ring day.
There were 3 specific.
Yeah.
giveaways, and you go, huh, that seems like it was maybe designed
I
to happen
gotta
that way.
say, I mean, I respect the trolling. I'm a troll. I'm a generational troll.
I mean, from using my voice in their Blake Snell
That's it.
video.
Oh, it was a World Series jersey, Paulie.
World Series jersey.
Again,
Okay.
they didn't beat us in the World Series. You beat the Yankees. You're playing the Yankees. Do it against them.
Yeah. Well,
That's so good. It is so good.
That may have started a trend in Major League Baseball because the latest team to announce some of their promotional items and what games those will be happening on was the Houston Astros. Who was the closer for the Houston Astros?
It's Josh Hader.
Uh-huh. And where did he used to play?
He played here and in Milwaukee.
Right. And he had some comments about Padres fans. He was saying
He did.
he lives rent-free in our heads and all that.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Wouldn't you know that Josh Hader, the fireman bobblehead, is going to be given out on April 19th when the Houston Astros play San Diego Padres.
Are we? So we're now just fodder for every team in the league? I know this is what I don't
It
understand.
doesn't even really make sense, though, because the Padres are a pretty good draw now. Like for opposing fans,
right?
They already want to buy tickets to see the Dodgers play the Padres.
Yeah,
and the Astros fans, I'd imagine, hey, the Padres only visit every couple of years. You only get one chance to see Tatis.
Sure, yeah, they are that team.
You don't need to do the promotions for those series. Save those for when the Angels come to town.
Well, that's the whole point.
The way it works,
that's why
trolling.
it's even more trolly. It's like it's against their own self-interests, actually, to save the promotions for when they might actually need them. They're so trolly that they don't even care. And they're going to do it against the Padres.
I mean,
the Dodger stuff, I saw it, and I got to admit,
I
laughed. I was like, that's pretty genius. I think absolutely you do the Blake Snell bobblehead. That's great. Yeah. I think you absolutely don't do anything okay. You're doing a World Series trophy and a World Series jersey.
Unless they're admitting that the NLDS was the
World Series.
I don't know.
But again, which they've all said.
That's true. They said it yesterday, pretty much.
All off season.
I do think
the real team that could have beaten us was the Padres. So
I do think you do it against. I do think you do it against the Yankees. A couple of those I would have. Like, hey, we beat you in the World Series, and we're gonna do it here. But hey, listen, more power to you. We put up a Kershaw meme. You guys have never let us live it down, and so hopefully this backfires like that did.
We'll see. All right, we'll move on to the NFL, getting ready for Super Bowl Sunday. Now, yesterday was kind of a big day for the halftime show because the Wednesday of Super Bowl week, that is when the Super Bowl performers are supposed to hand over their set list and everything to the league, to the network, which in this case it is Fox this year, Apple Music, all that, so that they can go through the set list, exactly how you're going to perform that set list, and then they got to meet with their lawyers, and everyone's got to make sure that, no FCC violations will be made or anything like that.
No boobs get ripped out of a
wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
This year, there's a little extra attention on Kendrick Lamar.
Yes.
Because there's no denying he is going to play his number one song, the diss track to Drake, Not Like Us. He may play it 3 or 4 times that night. But Drake has filed a lawsuit against Universal Music Group and saying it's defamation. I mean, there's a line, he calls him a certified pedophile. Oh. And so Drake is suing. And so there's questions of whether or not the NFL and Fox will allow him to say that. Not because of the actual words, certified pedophile, but because of Drake then suing them for further defamation. Wow. Now, it was pointed out at the Grammys when Kendrick won however many awards that he won.
5.
As he was walking onto the stage, they were playing that song. CBS did not censor out the words or the line or anything like that. That was in question. And then they had, I don't know, however many thousands of people that were in the arena all screaming the A minor line. So now amplify that to 80,000 people screaming it at the Super Bowl.
I mean, you call Max Muncy a troglodyte.
Yes.
That literally means someone who lives in a cave, like in prehistoric times.
Yeah.
I don't think you can actually document the fact that he lives in a cave.
No,
but it's okay that you say that because we know, we know what you mean. You're just kind of dissing him.
Yes.
I don't think that that's a problem. It shouldn't be a problem for Kendrick either.
But it's a problem for Drake. I don't think anybody wants to be called a pedophile.
Right. And I don't think anyone wants to be called a troglodyte either.
Yeah, but Woods isn't also hosting the Super Bowl halftime show.
Fair enough. Me on stage at the Super Bowl just calling Max Muncy a troglodyte.
The scale of the defamation, though, really shouldn't matter. Is it or is it not?
Isn't it?
Is it or is it not?
And that's what everybody is deciding right now. It says...
But you tell an artist like Kendrick Lamar that you can't say it, what's the first thing that artist is going to want to do? He's going to say it.
No problem, sir.
Jim Morrison. So this is one of my favorite Doors stories.
Yeah, I've heard this one.
Yeah, he goes on Ed Sullivan, and they come backstage, and they go, hey, we really love your song, Light My Fire. But you can't say, girl, we couldn't get much higher, okay? So you have to change it. So, girl, we can't get much better. Jim Morrison says, yeah, no problem. Absolutely. 100%. Don't worry about us. Gets on stage, does it. Girl, we couldn't get much higher. Never plays Ed Sullivan again. You can't tell an artist to compromise his vision. And in fact, I think that's a knock against Kendrick if he does.
You only usually get one crack at the Super Bowl halftime show anyway, so the threat of never getting to play the halftime show again is fine. Right. They don't even get paid. Remember, they don't even get paid to do it.
Yep.
You have to pay usually for the privilege of performing in the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I doubt they have a lot of influence over what Kendrick is going to end up actually saying.
They have multiple...
And if you're Kendrick, do you care if the NFL gets sued?
All right. Now, you can't play a song without... There's a massive amount of coordination.
Sure.
But you can change the words like Jim Morrison did. If
he didn't change them.
I know. If they're going to let him... We'll let you play the song, but you have to change the words.
Right.
That would be a very dicey thing for the NFL to suggest.
Yep.
And I would not trust that Kendrick would actually change the words.
Man, Drake is shook by this thing, huh?
What are they going to come out with? One of those big hooks?
Pull them off.
Hello, my baby.
Right off the stage. With the Bugs Bunny hook.
Kendrick performed at the Super Bowl before, though, with Snoop and Dre.
Yeah. He wasn't the headliner, but he was there.
Who is it, Paulie? It's Kendrick is the headliner. And there are other...
Yeah, the only other person that
Surprise.
has been rumored
Taylor
or
Swift.
I think confirmed is SZA.
SZA.
Who they have a few songs together, I believe. So she'll be there, and then I have no idea. Everyone was like, well, Lil Wayne, New Orleans, he's got to be there. He's already said he has no part in this. So
what about Taylor Swift?
There's been some speculation. I mean, she's going to be there, but will she perform a song?
He was featured on one of her songs.
There you go.
So maybe. It's a possibility.
I'm going to go into it with an open mind.
If I'm Taylor, though, I'm like, no, I'm there for the game. I'm there to
watch my boyfriend.
Travis. I don't want to. I mean, you can't really enjoy yourself if you're having to perform at halftime. You can't just leave. Oh, 2-minute warning.
All right. I got to run down.
Run down.
Crap. Hang on. Clear space. I got to run down.
No offense, this isn't a Seals game.
I have no idea why the Seals just took your shrapnel.
Well, I'm just saying that the production value of a Super Bowl, if you're going to be at the halftime, you're probably down there prepping for hours before.
Gonsko says, have metal bands like Mudvayne play the Super Bowl. The rap stuff is garbage. I would love to see Mudvayne perform.
Ladies and gentlemen.
It's Mudvayne.
Mudvayne.
I stand. I mean, I'm all for it. I would like to mix it up at some point.
You did love Mud Fest or whatever it was.
Puddle of Mud Fest. Yeah. Yep.
Puddle of Mud Fest. All right, and then we will wrap it up here. A little McDonald's talk for you guys. So you guys know the McDonald's characters, right? Ronald McDonald, the Hamburglar, Grimace. Have you ever heard of Uncle O'Grimacy?
With the Birdie chicken? Remember Birdie the chicken? No?
I don't remember that one.
The Fry Guys? Remember the Fry Guys?
Yes.
You guys don't remember a lot, do you?
No, I remember that one. So Uncle O'Grimacy, he really only came around during the season of the Shamrock Shake, and he disappeared from all of their ads in the early to mid 1980s. Nobody really knows exactly when he disappeared, but he did disappear, and everyone started going, well, why? Because he's all of a sudden back now. And everyone's like, well, what happened here? And some of the rumors that were going around facing Uncle O'Grimacy and McDonald's, the most likely one was that McDonald's was getting hit with copyright lawsuits over their characters, and they kind of phased him out. And I'm reading here, this was a couple of years ago. The second theory about Uncle O'Grimacy's retirement is far more controversial. As the rumor goes, the actor who played the mascot, Uncle O'Grimacy, made comments in support of the IRA. Now, there was actually no factual evidence that ever supported that,
If no one remembers, it's been a while. The Irish Republican Army, right? They were kind of the terrorist faction trying to separate Northern Ireland from the UK. There's bombings and all kinds of things. You watch a movie from like the 80s or 90s, you'll remember.
Brad Pitt, The Devil's Own.
There's one. Yeah, there's a good one.
He was the worst Irish accent you've ever heard.
Let's see. Harrison Ford in one of those.
That was him.
Tom Clancy movies.
Yeah. Well, Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt were in The Devil's Own together.
He was in that one too? Yeah.
So there's no evidence that anything happened with some guy in a mascot uniform in Philadelphia. It says here, though, the story is much more likely to stem from a 1997 article by The Onion, which I didn't know was around in 1997.
Me neither.
And they fictitiously reported that the IRA demanded year-round access to the seasonally available Shamrock Shakes and attributed inflammatory fake quotes to Uncle O'Grimacy, like, release the shakes to us at once, or the lives of your children are at stake.
Pretty hardcore.
So people are like, oh, Uncle O'Grimacy was framed. So this guy just disappeared. This character completely disappeared for about 40 years.
40.
And now, with the return of the Shamrock Shake, he is back.
Maybe he's reformed.
Some of the comments are like, wait, was Uncle O'Grimacy in the IRA?
What a backstory.
I'm sorry, Balsamic Vinny got me in the chat. Wasn't The Onion, it was The Shallot in 1997. Because that's like a young onion.
I know what a shallot is. Thank you.
Oh, you got me. That was good.
What a way to go out.
The shallot.
It's the shallot.
Got it.
I don't think the chat's ever got me.
Yeah, you got him, Vinny. That's it. The shallot. He's going to be thinking about it all day.
Unbelievable.
That's it.
You say goodbye.
He is toast.
Okay, we're gone.
All right, we're done. Andy and Elston up next. Have a great rest of your day. So long, everybody.
Oh, bye.